Welcome back. The marathon starts in just a few minutes, about 9 minutes away right now. Eyewitness News anchor Tom Cook is at the finish line. He joins us live with a look ahead to the big race. Tom?
Yeah, and Katie, the rain has stopped, but now the wind is the major problem for the runners here. It is very, very cold downtown this morning. I forgot gloves, and one of our directors, Scott Sands, was nice enough to lend me a pair, and I will need them because throughout the next 3 hours, the temperature may even dip a little bit here. At the starting line, some of our Channel 13 runners, we have a number of employees running this race, say it's so cold their fingers are going numb. So let's take you to the start line. And Casey Curry, my co-anchor this morning. And yeah, I see you're a little chilly out there this morning.
Tom, I feel like I've changed clothes like 5 times today already.
Yeah.
I've had to switch out gloves. I added more socks. I've even put on a hat. I was like, I gave up on the hair that I started with today. It is so wet out here. And I have to say, I've always had such huge respect for the runners that do this, whether you're doing the 5K or the half or the full. Today, you get an extra badge today for this. We're getting ready to start. The wheelchair racers have already gone off, and we're just moments away. Folks are getting ready to line up. They're doing the official starters in just a few seconds and getting ready to get on out here. Again, it's going to be a long, cold, wet morning for a lot of folks, because as we've been talking about all morning, not only are we dealing with, the struggles of getting through that kind of distance, but you've also got the weather to deal with today. And as we've talked about, I mean, temperatures have dropped down into the mid-40s. You've got a northwest wind, 25 to 30 miles an hour, so the wind chills are brutal out here. And these poor folks, I mean, they're in kind of no clothes at all already to start with, now getting super wet as they get ready to start this race. So the beginning of the race, again, just moments away. The wheelchair racers went off about 10-15 minutes ago, so they started everybody off on the course, and now the elite runners will get started in just a few minutes. So everybody lining up, getting ready for a wonderful day. We'll send it back to you, Katie.
All right, Casey Curry, thank you so much for that live report out there. And now meteorologist David Tillman has a final look at the weather before we head into this race. About 7 minutes out. How are things looking?
Things are looking wet, very wet over the next couple of hours. Potentially there could be some lightning. I don't see a cell that's heading for the city with lightning in it, but that could change as we go through the morning. There's a look at our Houston tower camera. The low clouds that we have in place, fog is not an issue. It's the rain and the wind that we're going to deal with. Right now at Hobby Airport, it's 47 degrees. We have a northerly wind at about 12 miles per hour, and we have feels like temperatures in the 30s. So if you're heading out there for the marathon to spectate, you will certainly need some thick layers on underneath something that's going to repel the water, because the rain will continue for the next couple of hours. Here's the temperatures and wind. It's now down to 41 degrees there in Conroe, wind gusting to 25, wind gusting to 26 in Houston, temperature 44, and the current temperature in College Station is 39 with a wind gust to almost 30 miles per hour. And here's a look at the rain. Light to moderate rain around and inside the loop at this time. We widen the shot out. We have several other pockets of moderate to heavy rain out to the west. That line is sitting right over the Katy and Cypress areas right now. It's moving slowly to the east, and between 7 and 9 o'clock this morning, I expect it to be moving across the city of Houston. And if it intensifies anymore, it could produce a couple of cloud to ground lightning strikes. I'll be right here. I'll keep you advised of that as we go through the morning. We widen the shot out. There are a couple of showers to the west of that line, but those are tracking to the north. So this is the main show here. Once we're done with this 9, maybe 10 o'clock, we'll be done with the serious rain this morning. There's a look at the lightning strikes that we're seeing right now. Most of the activity has been along and north of Interstate 10. So most of these showers have a tendency to start to produce lightning once they reach the Interstate 10 corridor. So yes, we are concerned about lightning this morning. For today, a high of 48 degrees. That will occur in the afternoon after the morning rain. It'll be windy and very cool out there, and we're going to keep rain chances in the forecast for not only today, but into Monday and Tuesday as more disturbances move across the area. Today's rain chance 70-80%. Tomorrow and Tuesday a 30% chance for rain. By Wednesday about a 20% chance, and then we'll begin to see sunny conditions as we get into Thursday and Friday. That's a look at our coverage right now. Now to coverage of the marathon in just a moment.
Go Texans, beat the Patriots.
13 Eyewitness News has closed caption for the hearing impaired.
The biggest single-day sporting event in Houston is here, along with a countdown to the Texans playoff game. 25,000 runners pound the pavement for the 41st annual Chevron Houston Marathon and the Aramco Half Marathon. We've got team coverage along the entire race route from every angle. In the air with Sky Eye HD, on the ground in neighborhoods around town. And we're at the start and the finish line, giving you a front row seat. And we'll cover the lead runners in both races with our exclusive pace cam. From elite athletes hoping to break big records and win a lot of cash, to the average runners just going for a personal goal. This is a day people have been training for. And the runners are giving back, raising millions of dollars for local charities. And it's a big day for the Houston Texans as runners and spectators show their support for our football team. They're preparing to take on the New England Patriots in the NFL playoff game later today. We have minute-by-minute coverage you can only see here, and it starts right now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Cook, and welcome to the 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the 13th running of the Aramco Half Marathon. Joining us once again, John Warren, the Rice University track coach, our expert on running here. Minus the wind today, pretty good day for running temperature-wise.
It would be a great day. The 40-something degrees. This course, the wetness on the ground isn't going to be that big of a deal if the rain's not falling, but the little bit of rain that's falling and the wind are going to be brutal. This is a great day to watch this coverage.
It is to sit in your house or at least to get outside if the race course goes close to your house and come and cheer on these runners this morning. Just under 25,000 people will be making their way through the streets of Houston this morning along the 26.2-mile course. The rain here is still coming down, albeit a little bit slower. You see the drops on the puddles there outside the George R. Brown Convention Center. That shot gives you an idea, though, of just how much the sprinkles have turned into a steady rainfall this morning. Hopefully that will clear out as we get on through the morning. Now let's take you to the starting line. We're just a second away or so. Casey Curry at the starting line with the latest from there. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Tom. As you mentioned, weather is going to be a factor today. The road is wet out here. The wind is going to be probably a huge issue as well. And the rain's going to come on and off, kind of heavier periods. We've certainly seen that already today. Behind me, the runners getting ready to get started. We are just moments away from the start. The wheelchair runners wheelchair racers went off just about 10-15 minutes ago. And now we're just waiting for that starting blast. You can see the pace runners up in front for some of the groups that are trying to not only set records today, but also keep their times right where they'd like them. Some personal records also likely to be set today. We'll have to see how the weather does affect some of these elite runners. We know that it's going to affect the not so elite runners. So now we'll get to the start. So you can see that we've got the tens of thousands of people that are running the Chevron Houston Marathon and the Aramco Half Marathon. We'll start to see some of the clothes come off. We even started to see it even before the race officially started. People started to shed, especially those trash bags. There are a lot of folks just trying to stay dry more than anything. But in the next couple of miles, of course, we'll start to see the gloves come off, some of these jackets as well. But the big key for everybody just kind of waiting at the start line was just trying to stay dry in this continuous rain. It may be a losing battle, though, as they've got so many miles to go in this wet weather. But always amazing to see just the large number of people that are taking part in this wonderful event. Really testing themselves today. On any day, that kind of distance is certainly a challenge. Today, with weather being such an issue, it is even more of a challenge for these folks, both physically and mentally as well. Just imagine trying to keep it all together, trying to keep yourself feeling good when the conditions are so rough out here.
Oh, yeah, and what a challenge, Casey, at the starting line when you have to wait 10 minutes in that wind and the brutal cold. I mean, as Sonia Azad was telling us, you're numb, your fingers get numb, don't they?
Oh, it's true. And that's one of the things that we're concerned about later in the race. This isn't so much going to be a problem for the elite runners. They're going to be done before they ever get super cold. But a lot of kind of the regular folks like you and me that have been training for this and are going to take, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 hours to get through, very much concerned about the possible effects on the body, possibly even some mild hypothermia that we're going to have to watch out for as we get later in the race, because these folks are going to be super wet. And these temperatures continue to drop. This wind, northwest 25 25, 35 miles per hour. That is brutal on the body.
Yeah, it is a cold morning out here in downtown Houston. Near perfect conditions if we didn't have the wind. You know, there's arguments, John Warren, about the perfect conditions for marathons. I've read 49 degrees is the optimum temperature. Some people say as you get closer to 40, the elite runners have it better. What do you think?
I think there's a huge range, and each person's going to be a little bit different. Over 60 degrees is awful.
Yeah.
Under about 25 to 30 degrees is awful. Some people can't do either one. But what happens when it's too hot, your body's trying to stay alive. It's trying to make sure the blood goes to the vital organs. When it's too cold, your body starts to shut the muscles down a little bit. It's not as comfortable. In between there, people can be able to run fast. As long as you can run the most efficient way you can run, meaning your body, all the energy in your body can go to your muscles and push you forward. This wet, if people get soaking wet, it's going to be a problem because the effect on the body, like Casey was saying with the hypothermia type idea, the effect on the body is going to be your body is going to try to do everything it can to keep the vital organs functioning, and it won't be necessarily flowing the blood to the muscles to make it move.
All right, let's take you now to our pace cams. We have 4 pace cams. We're covering every race from a straight-on angle, and there you see the elite runners, the lead runners in the men's marathon. We've got the pace cams for the men's full, the women's full, the men's half, and the women's half. And all morning long, our 4 photographers on the back of those trucks will be keeping track of the lead runners for you and give you an idea of the struggles they face. We are so close. You will be able to see the strain on their faces, and you'll be able to see the moves that some of them make as they try and take the lead at various times. And as we've talked before, John, there are rabbits on the race course this morning trying to get those runners out there to a record pace, right?
Right. They're rabbits that are supposed to be flying this morning. They're going for 58 minutes for the half marathon. They're going for 2 hours and 6 minutes for the marathon. I think it'll be very difficult to do that today. The first mile split is going to come up here in about a minute, and it's going to be interesting because the paces they have to hit, it's 4:27 for the world record, which was they're talking about for the half marathon. If they're under like 4:40, that would be amazing into this 26-mile-an-hour headwind.
Yeah, because they are going directly north as they go toward the Elysian Viaduct in downtown Houston as we watch the other runners making their way to the finish line. Now, those runners who are way back of the pack as they get up to the finish line, the starting line, those runners that are way back of the pack, they have chips on their shoes, and that will be triggered by that sensor as they cross the starting line, and that is when their times will begin for the Houston Marathon or the Aramco Half Marathon. And we've got 3 hours of live coverage coming your way, and much more after this short break.
What do your friends and family think about you running the marathon? Have they seen any benefit for you personally, or what do they just think about it?
I think they seem to get in better shape, and so they like that, but my mom doesn't like me to run it. She thinks I'm going to hurt myself.
Well, it's a lifestyle. My whole family does it. So it's, how we spend our vacations, how we live our lives, what we do every night.
Well, my coworkers think I'm nuts. But my family supports me, and I try to get my kids to go out there and run with me, have some fun, make it fun, and that's the key, is having fun.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Chevron Houston Marathon and the Aramco Half Marathon. I'm Tom Cook, along with John Warren, Rice University track coach. For the next 3 hours, we'll be bringing you live coverage. And if you have a question for us, go to our abc13.com website and check in on our Facebook page and Twitter. Give us a question. We'll try and answer it here on the air. And we've already had questions from some people about why the runners, if they're being timed from the start line, are they looking at their watches?
They've got watches and they've got Garmin's on. Partially because we don't trust what we see, but also for the runners who aren't in the truck, there's no time, there's no splits given to them. People will be yelling splits at the side of the race, but that doesn't mean much when you hear 37 minutes or an hour 45. You have to do the math in your head. So you get a split every time you hit the mile. Okay. So it gives you exact feedback.
And we do have a fast pace despite the wind. Now let's take a look at the race course, which begins here in downtown Houston, just a block away here from the George R. Brown Convention Center. There you see the starting line. The race goes directly north as they cross the Elysian Viaduct just north of downtown, and then it begins a westerly turn, and then it'll go all the way down Montrose into West University and then up to the west side finally before coming back on Memorial into downtown Houston. Quickly, John, because we're going to get to Casey Curry, but we already have a record time in the first mile.
Right, they're going straight into a 26-mile headwind, and they're at 4:26, which is world record pace. 4:27 is world record pace for the half marathon.
Right, $50,000 extra bonus money if they set a new world record in the Houston Marathon today, so they're going going after it. Casey Curry at the starting line, and how's it looking there, Casey?
Well, you know, it's never more appropriate to have a meteorologist at the start line than today, where it is so wet and cold out here. It really is amazing. I mean, we started the race a few minutes ago, and the people keep coming. I mean, this rain and weather has really not stopped folks from getting out here. It's been really interesting. We've talked a lot about how folks are trying to stay dry, trying to stay warm. A lot of folks kind of in like a trash bag sort of thing to cover up their actual running gear. The other thing we've noticed, you guys talked about how folks are setting their watches. There are a few folks that I saw with their iPods or their iPhones out with them, but they covered them with Ziploc baggies. It was really cute as they ran on by this morning. So folks are kind of just doing whatever they can. It's not like people didn't know it was going to be wet out here. Although my guess is you start getting to, you know, mile 10, mile 15, this weather is going to start to wear on people for sure. Again, just tens of thousands of people lining the course, cheering folks on. So not only do you have the runners out here, but you've also got all of the spectators as well. So very exciting atmosphere out here. I'll be anxious to see how everybody's doing a few more miles down the road, though. Back to you, Tom.
At the pace cam in the half marathon, we'll give you an idea of what those runners faced this morning here. John Warren has been talking about the record pace they got off to in the first mile. Tough to keep that up, though, given the wind.
The second mile was 4:53.
Okay.
But soon they're about to turn out of the wind and get some tailwind, so they may make that up. I mean, a world record today would be just unbelievable. I mean, that would be shocking because that record is so good. If they get around, like last year's winner was 59:22, and that was the fourth best time in the world at that time. Anything under 60 is unbelievable. It's unbelievably good. So they're on pace to do really well.
All right, it is still very windy, although the rain has subsided here in downtown Houston. But let's get the latest now on the weather conditions and the predictions for the next couple of hours. Meteorologist David Tillman back in the studios. David?
Hi there, Tom. Yeah, the rain has let up right where the course is located right now. This heavy cell here is now crossing the north loop and beginning to move on to the north. There's another one to the south there, but that one is going to be tracking a little bit more towards Hobby Airport. So for the next 30 minutes or so, it looks like the rain is mainly going to be light, but there is a line of heavier showers and even a little thunderstorm activity out to the west that is going to cross the city throughout the marathon this morning. This is the main line that we've been concerned about. It's going to be crossing between now and 9 o'clock this morning. The part of it with lightning appears to be this part up here near Cypress. That activity is moving to the north and east. We're going to be watching very closely to see if that part of the line begins to produce lightning. As we look at it right now, it is not, so that's the good news. Rain, wind, and cold, but no lightning in the immediate future for the marathon. Back to you.
Good news this morning, David. We do not need anything to interrupt this great marathon. As you look at the pace cam on the left side of the camera, these are the elite runners, the lead runners in the half marathon. They're at 12:11 on our ABB pace cam. John Warren, that a good time?
It's a very good time. They're going to get back to where they can get a good tailwind. There's no rabbit left. These are the two favorites in the race, Faisa Lalesa and Dariba Mariga. Lalesa won the half marathon last year in 59:22, which is a course record. And Mariga won the marathon here in 2007. Right. He broke a 29-year-old record or something like that, running a 2:07. He was fourth in the Olympics in 2008. He ran here in 2009, I'm sorry. And they're off to a fantastic start. But they're supposed to have two rabbits that are leading them through this pace, and they're gone. They're not even mile 3 yet. And the rabbits can't even keep up with them.
Well, and look at the conditions they are running in. If you're watching us from the warm confines of your home, you're seeing the dreary conditions, the wet, cold, and windy conditions these runners face as they make their way now toward the rest of the 9 miles in the half marathon. All right, let's go to the Elysian Viaduct where the runners are starting to make their way in big packs. David Nuno, our reporter there. It's raining hard there too, David, huh?
It is raining hard, and it's funny, like right before the runners started getting to this point, it was kind of sprinkling. As soon as they came by, it started getting much stronger. And as you see, a lot of runners all packed together. Probably the best view of the marathon, and they are running. So I know you Cam earlier. It's raining.
David, I think we've lost your signal temporarily, given that the conditions are windy and wet there. That's not a surprise, but we will come back to you as we fix that connection on the Elysian Viaduct. As we've said, we have our reporters all around the race course this morning, and we'll be joining them live as we continue our special live coverage of the 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the 13th running of the Aramco Half Marathon. Much more coming your way after this short break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Chevron Houston Marathon and our live coverage for the next 2.5 hours, along with John Warren, the Rice University track coach. I'm Tom Cook. Casey Curry's at the starting line, and if you've ever been down here to witness the start of this marathon, you know how people have to funnel through that small opening, thousands of people, as they run toward the starting line. And Casey, there are still people making their way across the starting line even now, right?
Yeah, they definitely are, and it's extra hazards today because people are already shedding some of their clothing, and for a lot of folks, that's whatever plastic kind of thing they had on, whether it's a plastic trash bag or kind of one of those cheaper kind of rain slickers that you could just dispose of. So now what we're seeing is on the ground, people are having to like actually trip over those. So that's been a challenge. See, as you look out on the ground, there are folks that are having to kind of dodge each one of these little pieces of plastic that we're seeing, and so that just adds one more hazard to what has already kind of been a rough start for folks. It was interesting. We got out here way before the race started, and of course the runners were already out here. They've got to be out here super early just to get here in place, ready to go when that gun goes off at 7. So they were standing around in this rain, in this wet. A lot of folks are trying to find any little place they could to stay dry or even stay a little bit warm. We saw folks warming themselves on some of the lights that we were seeing over there that light up the Houston Marathon kind of banner here. So folks are just doing whatever they can to try to kind of get this race going off on the right foot. But you know, folks are excited. I mean, folks are cheering behind us. They've got their arms all waving. We've seen quite a few folks in their Texans gear this morning, so that's been kind of fun. So you can tell people are in at least a really good mood to start with. I can only imagine if you had to start off in a bad mood on a weather day like this. But we'll be talking a lot, of course, about the weather and how it kind of plays into everything. David Tillman did mention about the possibility of lightning, and that's really the only thing, as you guys know, that will put a stop to this race. And we were in the mobile command van just earlier this morning, right before the race started. That's where we've got HPD, Houston Fire Department, all these kind of crucial folks, along with some ham radio operators in there as well. And they are keeping track of what's happening on the course. They've got almost 700 officers between HPD and HFD out on the course, plus all of the various ham radio operator volunteers as well. They're out on the course at various spots, so they're all relaying that information about what they see, and of course they've got the weather folks there watching the radar to make sure there's no lightning. So they've got plans in place if we do start to see that, but so far it's just been kind of the cold, the wet, and of course the wind out here as well. We'll send it back to you.
All right, and you know there were some of those runners standing at the starting line this morning going, I wish I'd just stayed home and not run this race. I've had the pleasure of running several of these races, and when you're out there in the morning and it's cold and windy, it's miserable for a few minutes, John.
In today's conditions, they're just happy to get started.
Yeah, exactly.
Standing in it is the worst part.
Exactly.
Earlier, someone texted a question about, emailed the question about the watches.
Yes.
Another thing to add to that is they're hitting their watches at the starting line because of the chip timing.
Okay.
Their chip timing, the official clock timing started 15, 20 minutes ago, so that's going to not be their real time. The chip time starts when they hit the starting line. The starting line, but they have their watches to tell them what their time is throughout the course because the official time's way off for them at this point.
For the last 18 years, the Chevron Houston Marathon has been raising a lot of money. It's called Run for a Reason, and we have some 57 charities this year who will get money in their coffers thanks to all of these runners who raise money for these various charities. And this year there was a vote. The runners could vote on which charity was their favorite or which charity should get a $50,000 special bonus, and we have the winner this year. And David Payne, Vice President of Chevron Drilling, is there to present the check. David?
Chevron is proud to support the Chevron Houston Marathon and particularly proud to be part of the Run for a Reason charities in the Houston area. This is Chevron's first year presenting the Human Energy Award, and we have asked all of Houstonians to vote for their favorite charity. And I'm proud to announce that the winner this year is the SPCA, and with me I have Martha Eng and Patricia Mercer, and they're accepting the Human Energy Award, and along with that award comes a check from Chevron for $50,000.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything that you do to make Houston a better place. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, David, and thank you to Chevron for a great bonus for the charity SPCA. Again, 35,000 votes were cast this year by runners, and they decided which charity should receive that special check. And if we get a in the race today, one runner will get a special check for $50,000. That's the bonus today, John Warren, for a new world record. Can we do it, you think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's a big ask. On any
ask.
day, it's a big ask. It's an old record, and it's a one of the best in the world for road running. And they had a chance to do it. They had an athlete coming in, Etsetu Sagaya, but he wasn't able to get his visa. They have a couple great athletes here now. It's a long shot that they could get it on good conditions, and these conditions aren't going to allow it.
All right, that's just over 2 hours. 2:04.
No, for the half marathon.
For a half marathon, but the full marathon world record is what? 2:04.
2:03:48 official. 2:03:02 is the wind-aided version.
Better than 12 miles an hour for 26 miles. My car might not last that long. All right, back with more of the 41st Chevron Houston Marathon after this.
What is the draw to running 26.2 miles?
Positive feedback from the spectators. You can go to work for a whole month, you won't hear good job, but you do one 3.5-hour race, you'll probably hear it about 2,000 times.
Just a way of life. I guess I've been running so long that I've grown to love it.
Having a goal and reaching that goal.
Welcome back to the 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon as we go to the pace cams. Here you're looking at the half marathon lead runners this morning. In these conditions, it has got to be miserable out there, but they are doing their best to push the limits this morning. And the elite marathoners as well are taking a position to try and make a record here this morning. Look at these guys just pounding through the streets. On the left, the half marathoners. On the right, the full marathoners. So it will be a very difficult morning given the rain that is still falling and the wind that is pushing against them as they head through the streets of Houston. I'm joined now by the mayor of this great city, Denise Parker, and we are talking about the greatest event, or one of the greatest singles-day sporting events in the history of the city. And every year it turns out to be just an exciting time. I know it's kind of nasty conditions today, but it's still a great event for the city.
The marathon gets bigger and bigger. Yeah. We attract a stronger field. They come because it's a fast course. It's a very well run event, and you know, this is a race and a run. And the elite runners who are here to try to set records, are happy to be here. And then of course, just the average everyday runner who just wants to complete this race. Well, I'm afraid it's going to be tough for them today.
Oh, it's going to be miserable.
You know, the temperature's not bad. The drizzle that we started with wouldn't have been bad, but a heavy rain means that we probably won't see any records set today because they're going to have to watch their footing.
And it is pouring down on this tent here outside the George R. Brown Convention
And there's a little
Center.
bit of swirling wind. The wind, too, is going to be a problem. This is the fourth marathon I presided over as mayor, and
we've had better conditions.
Yeah,
we've had better conditions. Some of you may have heard us talk last year about how the mayor was a runner. Her father was a runner as well. And we want to know more about the history of running in her family. So watch this.
Okay.
The marathon makes me think of my dad because he was a marathoner. He became a marathoner in his 40s. He even did a couple of ultra marathons. I know he loved all sorts of sports, and it was something that we could do together. I loved tagging along with him, whether it was sitting all day fishing and not saying a word, or me following him to a game that he was working. My dad refereed or umpired virtually every sport known to man. When I was little, he umpired local high school baseball games. I can remember going over to St. Pius High School, and he'd put $1 down at the concession stand, and I'd eat popsicles and shag balls all evening while he umpired. And so the first sport I learned how to play was baseball. I learned how to throw a curveball. I learned how to hit. I actually played varsity softball at Rice University for the 1 year we had a team. I went to 3 separate middle schools, and at least in 3 states. Went to 3 different high schools in 3 different states. There's a common language of sports, and it's something that you can get involved in, and you have a role. And then when I was in high school, I was on the track team. High jump and long jump, standing long jump, they don't actually do that anymore, the standing long jump. My problem was that I reached my full height when I was 10 years old, and I was competing against 6-footers. So high jump was not really a future for me.
That is a problem for those of us who are short. Bring back some memories. I saw the look on her face when we went to those old pictures. She said, no. That's great.
It does. The marathon does make me think of my dad, and the fact that he got into running later in life. He was in his 40s when he took it up, and it became his passion. He once ran from Charleston, South Carolina to Columbia by himself.
Is that right?
To raise money for charity. So he did the long races.
The Forrest Gump of the East.
He's no longer with me, but this is. And again, the elite runners are here to set records and move, make names for themselves. Yeah. But the average runner who's out here today is like my dad, who finds the joy in running and just the movement.
Yeah. And then so many running for a reason, raising money here, which is just what so many Houstonians do. This is a very generous city. We talk about this as being the biggest single sporting event in Houston, but we have another one that's coming up this afternoon on the East Coast, and I'm talking about the Texans. What a day this is for sports in the city of Houston. We got to win this today.
Well, obviously we have to win this. We want to continue. We don't want to end the season the way we did at the same level that we did last year. The Texans, if they played to their potential, they absolutely can win.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The defense has to do what it does so well, and the offense has to show up.
Yeah, and we have so many people in Texans gear out on the course cheering on these runners. If you're sitting at home and you have a chance, come on out, cheer on the runners. They need all the support they can get.
I want to again thank the sponsors. We could not do this though. This is a premier City of Houston event. City of Houston, meaning all Houstonians are participating. We have thousands of volunteers. We have hopefully several 100,000 people along the race course. I don't know, maybe down a little bit now, but Chevron and Aramco make it possible.
They do. Thanks to them, and thanks to you for supporting all those runners here in the city of Houston, and thank you for leading this great city, Mayor Anise Parker. And back with more of the Chevron Marathon and the Aramco Half Marathon after this.
Hello, my name is John Olson, and I'm ABB's president for North America. ABB is proud to be the title sponsor of the ABB 5K. The 5K gives runners who prefer shorter distances to come out and experience the excitement of the Houston Marathon weekend. It also gives runners who are doing the marathon or half marathon a chance to have a fun run with family and friends the day before their own race. ABB is the home of over 600 employees in the Houston area. Also, we value the opportunity to support the communities where we live. Since 2008, ABB has used the Houston Marathon and the Run for a Reason program as inspiration to raise money for local charity. Through its ABB Houston Cares program, ABB has been able to donate over $300,000 to local charities that are part of course, Marathon Weekend is one of Houston's great civic events. It is truly inspirational to see so many runners complete something that they've trained so long and hard for. We continue to be amazed at the number of spectators that come out each year to cheer runners on, and the incredible volunteers that work so hard to make sure that Houston Marathon Weekend is a huge success. From all the ABB companies, including Beldor, Vintex, Thomas & Betts, we'd like to thank all those who participated in or supported the 5K on Saturday. Also, good luck to everyone that is running today, especially the 40 runners from ABB and Vintex. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, so many of our corporate sponsors have their own people out here running this morning, and ABB held its 5K run yesterday. In the years past, it was held on Sunday right along with the marathon. This year they moved it back to Saturday, and 5,000 people signed up to run the 3.1-mile course. Lots of youngsters, lots of older people, everyone enjoying the ABB 5K run yesterday, and it was much better weather conditions for that yesterday. David Nuno standing in the rain and the wind along the Elysian Viaduct. Well, actually, David, I see you're without your umbrella finally.
Yeah, and you know, safety's top of mind when we talk about the marathon, obviously. And just a few moments ago, I had this gentleman right here, Alvin, who came up to me. He's one of the pacers and was not feeling well, was kind of despondent when he came up to me. He's going to get some medical attention, but he seems to be doing a lot better than he was a few minutes ago. He was shivering, and he just really wasn't making a lot of sense when he came up to me. We got some officer help from there from Scott, and we're going to get him some medical attention. It's very dangerous, obviously, if you're not covered well, and we're seeing that right here on the course. And right now, as you can see, all the runners coming through. It's an amazing atmosphere at this early point between mile 1 and 2. Everybody's in a great mood. We're hearing a lot of "Go Texans" left and right. All the runners smiling, and a little kiss for you out there on television land. So it's a very good atmosphere. People are running without their shirts, sleeveless. They've got trash bags on them, but everybody in a very, very good mood. But of course, as we mentioned, safety top of mind. So if you're not feeling well, make sure you stop and get somebody. All the spectators coming out here, you know, you got to dress warm, you got to dress in layers. Tom, back to you.
Yeah, David, that kind of surprised me before. I saw a couple of runners without shirts this morning. Obviously, the conditions are such that just wearing something, even if it gets wet, will keep you a little bit warmer. But we'll follow those people as they make their way along the course this morning. There are people that have already dropped out at mile 3 because the conditions are such that it's nasty out here this morning. Cold, wet, windy, and we'll follow them along the race course for the next 2.5 hours. As we go to a break here and come back with more of the running of the Chevron Houston Marathon after this.
How many hours a week do you dedicate to training for the full marathon?
I'm about 8 to 10 hours.
For the week?
Yeah, for the week, yeah.
Does that change as you get closer?
Yeah, a couple weeks before I start taking it easy a little bit, get ready for the big day.
On average, about 7, so about an hour a day.
I run every morning with my cross-country team from 7 to 8:40.
Welcome back, everyone. We're now just about 30-some minutes into this Chevron Houston Marathon and Aramco Half Marathon, and we're going to show you the pace cams. These are the elites in the half marathon on your left. On the right, the women leading, I think, in the women's half marathon as well, John Warren.
Yeah.
How are we doing in the half?
On the women's half is going pretty quick. She's actually on record pace. I don't see her rabbit either. There's supposed to be rabbits for her as well. But she's on pace to set a course record. She ran 68:28 last year and got second by 2 seconds. And now she's running pretty much solo at this point, but running a pace that's actually faster than that. She could get down in the low 68s, and she's on pace to possibly break 68. That's a guy right behind her. The men's half is running a very fast time in a general sense, but they're not on record pace. Looking right now to go mid-61s.
And you're talking about in the marathon, the full marathon now, you're talking about a pace of, say, 2:09 perhaps, or not that fast?
No, they're going like 2:14,
2:14, okay.
for the men. The women, she's on pace to go 2:22. She's absolutely hammering this course out along the way. It's just phenomenal if she could do that in these conditions.
Okay, on the left is the men's elite marathoners. Can you tell who's leading the pack right there?
It's a pretty big pack.
It is a pretty big pack.
It's hard to read the names. I would imagine Worku's in that track. Bazu Worku, he's a 2:05 marathoner in his life. He's got like the 27th best time ever run. You've got the Tolosa, who got second last year in 2:07. But you got an army of people that have an ability to win this if they're not going to actually hammer it out from the beginning.
Yeah, and he won't get anywhere near that today unless he really steps it up, a personal record of 2:07.41. All right, Samika Knight is in the heights, and she's watching the runners from there. Good morning to you, Sam. There's Sam. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, how are you? I can barely hear you out here. I can tell you why, too, because here at mile marker 5, there's so much energy out here, it almost makes you forget that you're freezing cold and a little damp. But take a look here at some of these supporters lining the street, some of them standing and splashing in puddles of water, but they are here to support these runners. Take a look here. Some of them, this lady here, her sign says, "My kid is faster than your kid." She says this is her child's first year running the full marathon, and boy, she is excited along with a lot of others. But guys, these runners have put a lot of work into preparing for this race today. There are dozens of running groups in town that help people train, but this year, some runners are taking a different approach, and they're going viral.
Marathon training comes in different forms, but one that's making strides is virtual training.
I am in dental school right now, so my schedule is pretty crazy. It's kind of hard for me to find time to work out or run.
So when Katie Sova discovered the online training program Run Coach, she signed up, and it did the scheduling for her.
I could choose the certain number of days that I wanted to run and what days I wanted my long run and what day I wanted my rest and what day I was going to do other types of training. The coolest thing that I discovered is that there was an app for the iPhone, and I can log my run on the app and not having to wait to go home and forget about logging into the computer.
Half marathoner Elizabeth Sorensen signed up because she wanted a training program built for her.
Actually, one of the nicest things I found with it are the drills, and they have pace workouts, which I had never done before. When I have a certain goal to finish the half marathon, it really helps me get my pace up. So hopefully my time will be better than it would have been without.
And that's the company's goal.
At Run Coach, our mission is to help you run more. And we do that by guiding you to train at your current fitness level and then race at your peak performance. We've had thousands of runners have great success.
I have been running much faster than I typically do. It is a really good way to give you a list of what needs to be done this week, and you find a way to fit it into your schedule.
And guys, I want to let you know that these supporters have it all planned out. When the downpours come, they take cover under things like this. The Metro bus stop. The covering here, very nice for those supporters who are standing out here. I can tell you, I take cover under the bus stop covering as well. And you kind of get to know some of your friends, some of my newfound friends, supporters out here. But taking another look here, a lot of energy out here. Again, it sort of makes you forget that it is cold and drizzly. Back to you guys.
Yeah, it really does, but it is cold and still a little drizzly along many parts of the race course. Thank you, Samika Knight. So many people get inspired to run after they come out and watch the half marathon, and you're looking now at the leaders in the half marathon, or they come out to watch the full marathon and they think, you know what, I want to do that the next year. And so many people tend to overtrain, John. I find that a lot of people just go too far too fast.
Right. They try to do what makes sense kind of linearly. You just add it up. I'll do 3 miles today,
right.
4 miles tomorrow, 5 miles the next day, and then you're hurt, like on the fourth day. It's got to be a very, very gradual buildup. The maximum you should build up if you're a beginner is 10% a week. People argue that around, but if you're a beginner, 10% a week is it, because that's actually quite a fast buildup. I'd even argue a little bit less than that's okay. So if you do 9 miles 1 week, go to 10 miles. Then the 10 becomes 11. As you get to like 30 miles, it becomes 33, 36, 40 very, very quickly.
You know, this is the 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon. Began in 1972 on a 5-mile loop course, which means in 26 miles they had to do that just over 5 times. There were 113 runners, and the old story is, you know, they had beef stew after that, 40 volunteers. Only about 500 people came out and watched the race. Now, 41 years later, we have hopefully a couple of 100,000 people along the race course cheering these runners on. How much does it mean to the elites to have the people cheering them on along the race course? Is there a boost?
Yes, it is. It's huge. I mean, there's so many marathons that don't have anybody out there and just feel so lonely. And there's an adrenaline rush when people cheer, especially with the names on the bibs. It's very useful because they yell out your name. They're just, and feeling not alone is a big deal. If it's just you two in a truck, it actually is something that becomes boring in a way. You know, there's a lot of people out there. It makes it much more interesting. It'd be similar to like playing a football game in an empty stadium.
Oh,
it's a lot more fun to have a stadium of fans than nobody.
Good analogy. Now, we had 4 records last year in all 4 of the elite races. Not likely to even have one this year because of the weather conditions.
Right, but right now the only one that's really on pace is the women's marathon. They're trying to run 2:22. They're out there giving it a shot. The women's half is going pretty quick. She had a little slow mile at mile 7. It was a 5:20, which drops off the 5:0 type pace that she needs to run to get the record, but she may get back on. So the women are really moving. The men are not going to get record pace.
You've run so many of these things. What goes through their mind now, given the weather conditions this morning? Are they cold? Are they miserable? Or are they just in their groove right now?
The elites are going to be fine. These guys they're warm. If they didn't have a problem early on like that one pacer did, they're going to be okay. They're going to get warm. None of these guys are even wearing gloves, so they've probably started with gloves and already ditched them. The humidity is actually a thing that gets your body temperature up a little bit. So they're good. It's one of these conditions where they're miserable. The people watching this are miserable because of the humidity, and they're more comfortable because of the humidity. The wind's still going to bite them when their shirts get cold. The wind's going to be a lot more uncomfortable for them. But they're not worried about the weather at this point. It's actually good conditions other than the wind to make them run fast. But they've given up on a record at least on the men's side, and they're racing each other. This should, even though it may not be fantastic as far as running another 207 like 206 like we've had the last few years, but it's going to be a fun race to watch because this pack will probably stay together till 22 miles at some level. Some of these guys are pacers and they'll obviously fall off, but in the last 4 to 6 miles, it could be very interesting.
All right, more of the expert advice from John Warren and coverage of the marathon and half marathon right after this quick break.
The Chevron Houston Marathon, Aramco Houston Half Marathon, and ABB 5K is brought to you by Chevron, Aramco Services Company, and ABB.
And welcome back, everyone. We're 48 minutes into the running of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the Aramco Half Marathon. I'm Tom Cook, bringing you this live special coverage this morning along with John Warren, Bryce University men's track coach, our guy who knows everything about running here this morning. As we've been talking about all morning long, this wet, cold race isn't likely to set any records, but we still have a chance in the women's marathon, you're thinking.
Right, they are really moving out there. The women's marathon, she had a 5:20 mile at mile 7, which is a slight uphill. Then she threw in that was in the half marathon, a slight uphill at the 5:20. Then she threw in a 5:02. She's on pace to run possibly under 68 minutes in the half marathon. The marathon as well, their mile 7 was a 5:03. There's 3 girls still in the pack. Benedusha Diba, Marie, I'm going to mess up the names a little bit, I'm sorry, but Mariam Mohammed and Maskaram Asafa. Maskaram Asafa is the most interesting runner because she was a 1,500-meter runner. She went to the last 2 Olympics for Ethiopia in the 1,500. And it made the finals in both of them. She's never run over 10K. This is her first race over 10K in her life. So she could run really fast, and she's up there trying to do it. But it's going to be interesting to see how she handles the second half of this race.
Okay, earlier we showed you the race course. There is a point where the half marathoners turn around, and that's where Eyewitness News reporter Lisa Rivas is live this morning with the turnaround point. Good morning to you.
Good morning. And yes, here in the last 10 minutes or so, we've seen the elite runners come through for the marathon course and the half marathon course. Let me give you a look at what's going on behind me right now. I do want to say to anybody at home preparing to leave and come on out here, I'm seeing a lot of people show up in coats but without scarves or gloves. This is the day for that. I know we don't get a lot of heavy weather here in Houston, but this is a day to dig up those hats, the earmuffs, the gloves, because when you're standing out here for a while, when you're not running, it can also be very cold, especially if you get a little wet. But yes, this is a turnaround spot, and you have race volunteers out here yelling to the runners in the bibs of different color for half marathon and marathon, so that those volunteers and organizers can yell at them. Many of them don't make the turnaround. Of course, the elite runners don't really quite have that problem, but when you get into the masses of people, this is where the half marathon and marathon split again. So many coming through on one narrow part of the race course here on Montrose at Richmond that some people just don't make it. They get caught up in the crowd. They can't make the turn. So organizers out here prepared to do that, but no huge packs quite yet. We have those rainy, wet, slick conditions out here. We're hoping, too, that with the tight turnaround and the big crowd, people don't have trouble on that curve. They will have to be careful. Tom, back to you at the desk.
Running this Chevron Houston Marathon. The average starting temperature has been 45 degrees this morning, starting temperature 44 degrees. The difference is the average finishing temperature in this marathon was 60 degrees. It's not likely to go up at all today. And let's get the latest on the weather conditions now and the possibility of more rain. Here's David Tillman back in our studios. David?
And Tom, you said it exactly right. Temperatures are in the low and middle 40s right now, and they aren't going anywhere. If anything, they'll go down about a degree or so, but they certainly aren't going to rise because we're going to keep cloudy skies all day. We're going to have showers around this morning, and that stiff north wind will continue all day long. Here's a look at temperatures around the area. We're seeing low 40s to the north there, 41 in Klein in the Woodlands, 42 in Humble. Right now at Hobby Airport, it's 45 degrees, and it's 44 right now in Manville. The wind is still gusting to 20-25 miles per hour, and it's still giving us feels like temperatures in the middle 30s right now. So just as Elisa Rivas said a moment ago, if you're heading out there to watch the marathon, make sure you have something to put over your head and cover your ears and hands because it is very, very chilly out there this morning. The rain has let up considerably right where the race is going on right now, but the main line of showers and thunderstorms is still occurring out to the west. Once we're done with this particular line, we're going to be done with most of the significant rain this morning. We just have to get this through the city, and I think it'll take another hour, maybe hour and a half to get through, and then we're completely done with it. Is there lightning with it? Yes, there is. This particular cell right here near Highway 290 does have lightning with it, but it appears to be sliding past the course onto the north and east towards Bush Airport. As we come a little bit farther south, there had been some lightning with this particular cell here over parts of Fort Bend County, but the lightning is now gone. This particular cell appears to be weakening as it tracks to the north and east, so things are looking a whole lot better for maybe not seeing lightning near the immediate area where the marathon is going on, and that's good news. Here's the forecast for today. A high of 48 degrees, windy and cool, morning rain, a couple of thunderstorms out there, north wind at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Once we are done with the rain coming up for today, we're still going to have rain in the forecast for Monday and Tuesday at about 30%. We'll begin to see that system move on to the east of us on Wednesday, and then the last part of the week coming up, it's looking a whole lot better. Let's go back to Tom and Casey.
David, and as you say, we are joined by Casey Curry now, who has shed most of her rain gear this morning, standing out there in the starting line this morning. That was a mess.
It was a mess. It made me really feel for the folks who are not only running, but as Elisa said, there's spectators, volunteers, so many volunteers on the course, and it's brutal out there. I mean, sitting up here at this desk, it's cold. You get that good rain shower on you, it's brutal.
It's so much nicer to be running than standing out there. If you have to be out there at all, it's so much better to be running than standing.
Well, I'm going to shift my sympathy then.
Yeah, it's the spectators who are taking the brunt of it today.
Is.
The runners, as you said, sort of warm up along the way.
Right. It could get, if the temperature keeps dropping, stays wet, they may not be so comfortable with 4 or 5 hours into this thing. But right now, it's better for the runners and the watchers.
There's the elite runners. This is the half marathon elite runners. Two of those guys out front on the right in the half. A lone woman who is setting the pace certainly today all by herself. In fact, she's ahead of a number of guys behind her by about 100 yards or so.
Yeah, and there's for the woman who's really moving well, that she should have some sort of pace setter with her. Normally with the women, the pace setter comes almost to the finish line with her. And I haven't, since we've been going to the camera, we haven't seen anyone helping her at all. And she's running a very, very fast pace. She was running a very, very fast pace. She's had some slower miles thrown in the 520s. She went from looking like somebody that could run, when she's running 502s, 504s, that could break 68. She's doing some 520s, so now she's going to be lucky to break 69.
Now these are the elite runners in the marathon on your left.
In the marathon. The men are actually, they got the tailwind behind them, and they've dropped their pace quite a bit. Their initial pace when they started was 2:14, 2:15 prediction, and they've been running sub 5s or right at 5 minutes. They're now in the 2:11, 2:12 range, but they do have a tailwind at this point. And that's what was happening in the half as well. They've done the turn. They're going straight into the headwind now, about to make the turn in downtown. The women's pacers, they obviously, you can see the rabbits for them. The men are designed to be the pacers. They're really moving quick. They're actually on pace to possibly break 221. Wow. Break 222 and run to 221. Yeah. But they're really early into this race. Like I said about the 1,500-meter girl that's in that mix, this is a long way for her.
Well, we are getting close to where the half marathon will soon be finishing here in downtown Houston, and we're going to bring it to you live coming up after this short break. Don't go away.
My name's Aaron Scheides. I've been competing for 12 years. My goal originally, I really wanted to run like a 1:16. I've been having some injury stuff and some other stuff go on that I haven't been able to train as much as I wanted to. So 1:18 would be really good. And by the way, I'm also legally blind because I was born with normal vision and then started progressively losing my vision over time. It was actually during my middle school, high school time period where it was getting too hard to see the ball, and the hopes and dreams of being a professional soccer player were kind of going down the tubes. Getting into endurance sports, my brother and a few other people encouraged me to do running and swimming, stuff that doesn't involve a ball flying at your face. Do I need a guide to run? No, everybody can pick up their feet, but do I need a guide to not hurt myself? Yes.
His goals become your goals, and so you want to see him accomplish those goals, and you'll do anything you can in your power to help him accomplish it.
The guide also just takes away that cautiousness of am I going the right way? Am I gonna hit something and all that kind of stuff. I've always strived to be at be normal or compete with the normal people. One of the funniest quotes is from one of the blind athletes. You know, told me one time. He said, "I'm a completer. You're a competer," and so it always cracks me up. It's flat, and I know there's probably big crowds, and I feed off crowds, so you know, then you never know. I basically have 2 goals. I want to win a Paralympic gold medal, and then I'd like to win an ESPY. I was a finalist for an ESPY in 2010, so I need to go back and actually win one.
Welcome back, everyone. Tom Cook here, coverage of the Chevron Houston Marathon, along with Casey Curry and John Warren, Rice University track coach. We're less than 2 minutes away from the finish of the men's half marathon, and we're nowhere near a record. That was 59:22,
set last year by one of the athletes that's running today.
Yeah, Daribo Murga, who won this marathon in 2009, one of the speedsters here, now along with Faiza Lelesa, and the Ethiopians have ruled these races for the last several years, John.
Right, they bring in quite a few of them, and they race really well here. This is an important race on their calendar. Why is hard to tell, because these are guys that could run at some bigger races and often do. Some run many races in marathons and half marathons in a year, but this is the one they've kind of put a circle on and come here to run fast.
Yeah, there was a lot of cheering going on at the finish line, Casey. We can only hope that the spectators come out along the entire course route.
I hope so. And we've been seeing some from our reporters that are along the route today, Lisa Rivas and Samika Knight. It does look like there are people out there. It's just not quite the crowds I don't think we've seen in years past. I mean, really, the weather is a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, the rain and the wind and the cold to keep people home. We have 5 of our Channel 13 reporters and employees running in this race today. Justin Sternberg is one of our producers. Jessica Willey is running the half marathon. So is Sonia Azad. Adela Uchida is running the full marathon, and Ted Oberg, our reporter, is running the half marathon. As we look to the finish line now and the end of the men's half marathon at just over 1 hour, here come the final, or the first 2 runners, I should say. This is Daribo Murga, who won the 2009 full marathon, and Faiza Lelesa, both Ethiopians, both speedsters, both running in what are considered to be a much less than ideal conditions, John.
It is, but the conditions aren't great for a record-type run. But I mean, records are hard. They're supposed to be hard to break. They last a long time. We had a record in the marathon that lasted over 20 years. And that 59:22 may last. But this is an outstanding run. What's even more impressive to me is when you look at the camera, there is a ton of people behind them. Those guys are seconds behind. We may not have a stupendous winning time, but the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place times may be outstanding today. Anything under 61 gets the world recognition. If you run 60-something, it's outstanding. And we're not going to break 60, but we're going to have a bunch of guys, I think, between 61 and 62.
And does that just speak to the strength of the field this year? Is that why we're seeing so many of the elites really so elite this year?
Yeah, I think the thought of running, setting up a race to set a world record with a $50,000 bonus, that's a lot of money in a half marathon.
Right.
So I think that really drew some people to come here and give it a shot. Also, the last 5 years, everyone's run fast here. So they want to come and get a good mark as well.
Right. And we've talked about other races around the world, the big marathons, London and a couple of others. There's some serious prize money at those marathons.
Right, and appearance money and prize money. People walk out of there with $500,000 if they win it. Yeah. This one, they don't do too bad either.
No, that's true. We got $264,000 in total prize money today, and one of these guys is going to walk away with $40,000 for the first prize. And here we go, the finish of the 2 elite runners in the men's half marathon this morning. We'll watch them as they break the tape here in a few seconds, making their way right down here.
Faiza Lelesa looks like he's going to break away and win by 2 or 3 seconds over Merida, which is a pretty fantastic run. This is a little bit off what he ran last year, but the conditions are bad. I say that, but the women are running really fast today. He made it look easy at the very end.
He did.
But, you know, he had Merga right on his rear end. Merga's one of the great runners, 4th in the Olympics in 08. Merga's broken in his life. He's broken 60 minutes like 8 times. 3rd place is still 62:10. He was all alone for most of the races we could see on the camera, trying to stay within 10, 15 seconds. They're still rolling it. This is a fantastic race in these conditions.
Faiza Lelesa, unofficially about 101.50, last year's record time, 59.22. So he's 2 minutes off the record pace, but given today, you say that's not bad at all.
Luke Piscadra, who runs in an Oregon uniform because he's unattached. He's actually a graduate of Oregon. He ran 61:26 or something like that last year. His 62-minute 30 roughly race is outstanding. He's going to be a first American. He could be one of the great marathoners or half marathoners this country is going to see in the years to come.
You know, one of the elite runners, and we talked about it on Friday, Meg Keflezighi, who is actually a U.S. citizen, dropped out of this race, wasn't feeling well, had some flu, and I talked to him on Friday before the press conference. He said, I actually lost weight, and I'm thinking, from where? Yeah, because these guys are so lean, it's almost like they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, he looked skinny for him.
Yes.
At that press conference. He did not look well at all.
It really is impressive. And, you know, I know we'll talk a lot this morning about not only the elite runners, but the folks that have decided to run this race. Yeah. You know, to get into shape, you know, it's been a goal of theirs. And these people are looking amazing because, you know, we know so many of them. We have a lot of producers and photographers at the station that are running it this year for the first time. And it's been life-changing for them. It's not just about the race for them. It becomes a bigger thing. Obviously different than what the elites are doing. Does.
And we've talked about Run for a Reason, which has raised about $15 million over the last 18 years for some 60 charities. This year, I think there's 57 charities in all. Things as, charities as disparate as the Sunshine Kids, which everybody knows, to a couple of others that people don't know about that are less well-known charities. You know, and the other thing is, Adam Everett and Morgan Engsberg, former Astros, are both running today. Adam Everett, and then the wives of the two men are running the half. Morgan Engsberg is not a runner, is running the full marathon. They're raising money for Waters International.
Oh, wow.
Clean Water International. And it's going to be an interesting thing. David Nuno has our winner of the men's half marathon. David?
Yeah, and cold conditions out here, obviously. And first off, congratulations. How do you feel out there? We're here with his interpreter. How do you feel?
Since the weather is so difficult, you know, I just want to win it, not, you know, for the record.
Now, what about the other runners? Did you maybe draw some motivation? Because all of you are going through these conditions.
ሁላችሁም በዚህ አይነት ሁኔታ ውስጥ አየር ጠባይ ውስጥ ስታልፉ ነበረ እና ምን ይሰማል ስለ ሌሎቹ ሁሉ ስለ አንተ?
ስለኔ የሚሰማኝ ነገር
በጣም አስቸጋሪ ነበር።
በጣም አስቸጋሪ ነው። አየሩ በጣም የሚከብድ ነበር። የሚሰማኝ ይሄን
I'm very happy that I could overcome, you know, this difficult weather and come out to be a winner.
Absolutely. And last thing for you, is this one of the things you're going to tell your family about? Because, I mean, this was pretty miraculous conditions out here.
ይሄ በጣም ተአምራዊ የሆነ አይነት ሁኔታ ነው ያሸነፍከው። በጣም አስቸጋሪ ሁኔታ ነው እና ለቤተሰቡ በሙሉ ትልቅ ደስታ ይሰማል ብለን እንገምታለን። Yeah, surely they will be very happy.
Man of short words. Congratulations, great job. All righty, Tom, back to you.
Thank you, David. As we said, the Ethiopians have ruled the native language Amharic, and thanks to our interpreter this morning, because he'll be probably interpreting a few more of the winners this morning as the Ethiopians cross the tape.
And how cold did he look right when we took that shot with David Nuno? And he had that freeze-up look, and then relax. You know, the cameras are on. You turn it on a little bit.
Yeah, here's the women's leader in the half marathon, John.
She is started out on a really record pace. She was running sub 67, right at 67-minute pace, but started on a whole bunch of 5:20s, 5:28s. So she's fallen off quite a bit. She'll be finished in the next 3 minutes or so. She'll probably be 69 mid, but she went after it. But she'll be the first person that I believe to win the women's full marathon and the women's half marathon. She's a 2010 winner of the marathon, and she came back to run to obviously try to win here. She's obviously 68:07, so she's got the potential to be stupendously fast.
And she's all by herself.
She's been by herself forever. Like we looked earlier, I don't know when her rabbits fell off. They were pacers, and then we talked. A pacer is someone who's employed to run a specific pace, and they bail out at some point during the race. On the women's side, in the past, people will come up to 50 yards at the finish line and step off.
Right.
They pace because they're men. Obviously, they're a little faster than women. They'll pace the entire way. So this type of pace is something that I know the pacer Shaun Wade, who's a former winner here, was supposed to pace this race, but she went out faster than 68 pace. So she actually ran away from Shaun. Shaun's a really fit athlete. He's 46 years old. He's trying to win this race today. He's really fit, but he's not. He told me before he's not ready to run 66, 67. He could have done a job at 68, 69, but she went faster than that, and then she's fallen off that in the second half of this.
Yeah, it is just the weather conditions are such that I'm surprised that they're even getting close to a record pace or a good pace.
It was interesting. There's only one person in sight with her, male or female. I mean, there are a lot of runners in this race, that male runners. There's some coming in now that should be running in this range. There shouldn't be an empty area. So that's what it's really starting to affect the numbers. The really strong or the decent local type runners, the sub-elite type runners should be around her. And we can look way in the back and we see one runner with her. So that's probably within 20, 30, 40 seconds of her. So she's really doing a heck of a job.
Carolyn Kalel was also supposed to do well, but she's nowhere near her.
And hasn't been in the screen the whole time. The other, Lisa Ewell's supposed to be in this race. She's one of the great Americans. She's got the collegiate record, 31:18, was a finalist in the Olympics in the 10K last year. And I really expected her to be up in this mix as well.
As we said, $264,000 in total prize money today. There was a $50,000 bonus if you set a new world record in the half marathon. She will win $15,000 for the half marathon first place, and Faisa Lalesa already across the finish line got his $15,000. What's that compared to, say, the big races that are around the world, London and a few others?
For the half marathon, that's pretty good, because what she'll be able to do is turn around and do she can recover from this in a couple weeks. 100% ready to go. So she could do a marathon in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, a big one, and crank. And that's probably what she's going to do. She's going to probably use this obviously as a race, but also as a way to get ready for the big money. The big money's in the New York, Berlin, Boston, Chicago type marathons, where the prize money's in the $100,000, $125,000 range for the winner. But the real money, there's appearance money.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking the big names will get $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 just to show up, just to line up. They can't just go 5 steps and step off. They've got to make some sort of effort and get some sort of finish to do it.
Mamitu Daska, Ethiopia. Not bad for a run through the streets, Casey.
Really not bad, right?
50 grand or so, but she'll win 15 for crossing the tape here in just the next 30 seconds or so. She is on pace to get close to a good number this morning, John.
If she breaks anything, 70 minutes is good. 70s is like 61 for the guys. And if she runs 69 anything, that's an outstanding.
Well, she looks great, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah, she looks like she decided at some point, I'm going to win this. I'm not going to set a record. This is brutal enough as it is.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Yeah, so for her, she's not going to set a PR, but she can run a very good time. And she's going to break 70 minutes. And now she's moving. You can see really, she saw the clock. I want to get over 70.
Here she goes.
Let's get some sort of number bonus for herself. Yep. That's a very good run, especially in these conditions.
Mamitu Daska from Ethiopia, as they have done in so many years. The Ethiopians ruled this morning again.
And I think it's going to be tougher to run fast in the half marathon than the full, because there's 2 spots on this course where you've got to go straight into that headwind.
Right.
And in the half, you have to do that after 9 miles. So you're going from 9 miles to about 11 miles straight into a headwind, and that's devastating on these folks. The marathon, the headwinds aren't so bad. After the initial first couple miles, you've got a couple spots, one in the Galleria, one through West.
You've got that long stretch on Allen Parkway where you've got it coming.
Right, but that'll be a side wind or tailwind.
Right.
So except for those couple stretches, it could be a really good spot to run fast.
Okay, we'll hear from her right after this.
We wish you a safe race. Aramco Service Company is proud to sponsor the Aramco Houston Half Marathon.
And we're underway!
Our company has been in Houston for about 35 years. The Houston Marathon is such a great event. Fans from all over the world are tuned to our community. Employees want to be involved. For runners, you're giving back to charities like the American Cancer Society and the Houston Food Bank. About 300 employee, family members, and their friends participated as volunteers. For volunteers, it's a great opportunity to participate in the Houston landmark events. It's one of the premier marathons in the country. You are not only gonna experience excitement, you are gonna see some of the world-class runners, and you may see some of your friends and neighbors as well. Enjoy the day and have a good race.
Welcome back, everybody, to ABC 13's live coverage of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the Aramco Half Marathon. We've just watched the winners come across for the men's and the women's half. Faisa Lalesa was the men's winner, and then our women's winner just crossed. Mamitu Daska. I'm trying to get these names right.
I know. Well, the Ethiopian names are hard to pronounce.
It is difficult. It very much is difficult. But it's impressive what we've seen so far today, right, John?
Right, especially, we're talking like this is slow because we didn't set records.
Right.
But Daska averaged 5:19 a mile today, and Lalace averaged 4:40 a mile, 4:39 a mile today. So you would just taking all the records aside, that alone has got to me, is outstanding. And you get a feeling for how fast they're actually moving out there.
And so what accounts for that? Is there just somebody's just having a really great day? They're just feeling wonderful. The weather just wasn't a factor for them.
I think the weather, that's exactly right. The weather wasn't a factor for them, but because the lack of depth on the women's side, the lack of depth as far as men running with her, I think is a count that the weather is going to affect more people.
Got it.
But instead of having 10 people have a great race, you might have 6 have a great race.
Okay.
Officially, we have 11,547 runners entered in the marathon. The half marathon, 13,354. Just under 25,000 altogether. But many more women entered in the half marathon, many more men entered in the marathon. Interesting.
And a lot of these folks that entered deferred till next year. They were already getting hit by a flu bug.
Oh.
The flu has been having people defer their entries for another year.
Okay.
And
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if the weather had a lot of other people deferred as well.
Yeah, and we were worried about the possibility of Lightning maybe canceling or delaying this race today. Had that happen, you do not get your entry fees back.
Right.
It just goes to charity. So
Right.
that has never happened in 40 years, and it didn't happen this year.
And the lightning is still not completely
Right.
a non-issue at this point. Meteorologist David Tillman's back at the studios. He's been watching the radar, texting me throughout the morning, and we're still seeing some lightning strikes. They've all been way out to the west. By no means are they a threat to what's happening right now, but these cells are moving off to the north and east, so we're watching them very closely. Now, the folks here at the marathon, they do have a plan in place, and they have almost 700 officers,
Right.
HPD, HFD on the course, plus a whole bunch of ham radio volunteers as well that are, this is what ham radio folks do, is, you know, in any weather situation, is they relay all this stuff.
All right, Mamitu Daska, the women's winner in the half marathon, is with our David Nuno. David?
All right, we're here with the translator. How do you feel with your time? Under 70 minutes, got to feel very, very good.
ስለ ጊዜ በመግባትሽ ነው ከ70 ደቂቃ በታች በመግባትሽ ምን ይሰማሻል?
እኔ በጣም ደስ ይለኛል።
I'm very happy.
At what point did you know this was your race? At what point did you feel that you were getting separation?
ምን ያህል ርቀት ላይ ሆነሽ ነው በቃ ይሄ አሸንፋለሁ ብለሽ የተሰማሽ?
አሸንፋለሁ ብዬ በጣም አስቤ ነበር፣ ግን እስከ 10 ከሰዎቹ ጋር ሄድኩ። ከዛ በኋላ ብቻዬን ስለሆንኩ በጣም ሰዓት ያመጣል ብዬ አስቤ ነበር። ሰዎቹ ግን ብቻዬን ስለሆንኩ ከዛ በኋላ
10 mile
10 kilometers በኋላ
10 kilometers. At 10 kilometers, you know, I was really, you know, with the people, but afterwards no one was with me, so I didn't get the, you know, that competitive situation to improve my time, but I was alone by myself.
Overall, with this weather, how fulfilling is it being able to compete at this level with this weather and with such a great time?
በእንደዚህ አይነት አስቸጋሪ የአየር ጠባይ እና በማሸነፍሽ ምን አይነት ስሜት ይሰማሻል?
አየሩ በጣም ከባድ ነው። እኔ ችዬ ማሸነፌ በጣም ደስ ይለኛል።
The weather is very, very difficult, so I'm very happy that I could overcome that and win.
It's very difficult for us reporters as well. Very good job. Enjoy the belt buckle. Wear it with pride. Tom, back to you.
Thank you, David. She looks like she's just going to a casual party, doesn't she?
She does.
Not like she just ran 13 miles.
No, she looks like she could just go do something else. You know what I mean? She's just on with her day, probably. I'm guessing, John. Is that true? She's just...
I think she's going to take a good nap.
She take a good nap. We're overestimating.
Although some runners tell you that it's very difficult to nap right after a race because your adrenaline is running so
right.
high.
It'll probably take her a few hours. About 4 o'clock this afternoon, she'll be out.
All right, we've got much more. The 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the 13th running of the Aramco Half Marathon after this break.
I've ran a marathon last year for the first time. It was a goal that I've always had, and I accomplished it. This year, my 7-year-old son is joining me.
My name is Sam. I'm 7 years old, and I'm in 2nd grade. I'm running my first half marathon.
Just try to touch your toes. He saw me run it last year, and he was kind of excited. He wanted to try running with me. Loosen ourselves up a little bit. So I took him out one day, and I wanted to see how far he could go. We ran 2 miles the first time, and I was pretty impressed with that. And so I decided to sign him up for the half marathon.
Hey, how was your run?
Good.
You feel okay?
Good. I was a little nervous, so I called his pediatrician, made sure it was okay for him to run the long distances. He has no idea that running 10 miles on a Thursday night is a big deal.
Are you ready for the long run today?
I am so ready. This is something special that me and my dad do.
Thursdays when we run.
How was your day?
My day was good. And so it gives us time to talk, and it makes the run go faster, and it gives us a chance to talk about everything that he's been going through over the week, and we love it.
Not that hard. It's more fun than anything.
The most important part is that we were having fun together. We wouldn't be doing it if he wasn't. He's setting a goal for himself. I encourage it, especially at such a young age, and to see him accomplish that goal, can't make me any more proud. We can run the 5K, like just to warm up our legs the day before the actual half marathon race. And if we do it and complete it, you can actually get 3 medals. You want to do that?
Okay. I'm going to be very happy when I cross the finish line with my dad.
I think right now I'm trying to keep up with him.
Wow. Is he cute or what?
He is so adorable. Right. And I was, hearing his mom was a little bit concerned, about this kind of a distance for a 7-year-old. Right. But the pediatrician said it was fine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, we have a 12-year-old running the full marathon, and the oldest runner today is running the half marathon at 84 years old.
How great
is that?
We have
an 81-year-old running the full 26.2 miles.
And apparently, just for inspiration purposes, she didn't really start running until, I want to say, well into her 70s or something crazy.
Is that right?
Some really older point to be starting running kind of long distances. Amazing. Well, our own Sam, our Samika Knight, is out along the race route. She is in the Heights this morning. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Casey. Well, you may remember a little bit ago we talked to you about rain or shine supporters who came with the plan. Well, it is pouring, Casey, and they came with the plan. Some of these here behind us, we are inside. We're covered up by the Metro bus stop here, and I'm going to talk to a rain or shine supporter. You showed us what are you doing to show your support?
1935 cowbell, ringing it for my daughter, ringing her high school graduation. Now her marathon, Julie Silhan. Woo!
And with the cowbells come some pretty cool signs. Mom, tell us about your sign here.
This is for my daughter, Chelsea. She's her first marathon, and she is fast. So,
and read us this sign for us.
My kid is faster than your kid.
You're getting a lot of support for this sign, but I have to show you something, guys. We're going to go out into the rain here. This sign here is getting a lot of claps and a lot of smiles from some of the runners. I'll just let you read it. I won't read it on air, but this sign is getting a lot of attention. This family here supporting their mom. I can tell you a lot of runners passing by, some of them laughing, some of them putting their hands to their noses, others waving, but it's getting a lot of support. This entire family came out here with their signs, a lot of interesting signs out here, a lot of excitement out here. We talked about rain or shine. It is pouring. Well, earlier it was even worse than this, but it is a lot of energy out here. We're at mile marker 5 in the Heights, and just look here, look at these runners. And Damien, if you will, show some of these supporters along the sidelines here. Even this supporter here who came out, he's been out here for a very long time, and show them your hat here. What other kind of support are we going?
Texans, go Chelsea Reed. Yeah, she's doing a good job. Yay!
And by the way, you are soaked and wet. You're pretty soaked.
I'm freezing out here. I want to blame David Tillman for this. I'm just kidding. Back there.
We're not going to blame David Tillman.
No, we would never do that. Never. We blame Ted then.
No. And we should say, he's talking about Ted Oberg. We've seen Ted Oberg. We've seen Sonia Azad. Also, Jessica Willie and Christine Dobbin. All of them running by. A lot of these supporters cheering them on. Of course, we're cheering them on as well. But a lot of excitement out here, as you can hear. Yeah. Sending it back to you guys.
All propelled by natural gas. Who would have thought?
Love it. Well, this is the energy capital of the world, right?
Run faster. I just farted.
Oh, cute. Yeah. I love the kids out there. I really do. What a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many ABC 13ers we had, and in fact we lost a lot of our reporters this year who normally would be on the race for us because they're running.
And they've got to be happy they're running instead of standing on the side of this course.
I'm sure they're happy about it. What do you think that is, John, about the kind of psychological part of that you see all of this going on, and maybe after a few years of watching it you decide to get right in the mix of it? By the way, you're looking at our pace cams of the marathon right now.
One of the things about this is this event's so big. Most marathons, like I did one in Bryan College Station, very nice race, but so much smaller.
Yeah.
It's not it's a great race, but it's not a great event.
Right.
This is something you really want to be a part of, and you want to be able to do it right. So there's an extra inspiration to be involved, and B, to do a good job with it.
Is this Debebe Talasa on the left, the men's marathon leader?
No, this is a runner that's not very highly regarded, to be honest, coming as Kiprono Kurgat, and he's kind of broken away from everybody, but he's running at a really quick pace. The women and men are kind of doing an opposite right now. The men, he just ran a 4:48 last mile. He's on pace to run right at 2:11. If he keeps this up, he'll get into 2:10 or better. He may end up with a very, very good time. On the women's side, they're falling off quite a bit. Their last mile, their split time's great. It looks like they're going 2:22, but they're just running a 5:44 mile, which is way off what they want to do to run that time. They need to be in the about 5:22, 5:24 range to hit that record pace time.
Okay, well, we're just about 40 minutes away from the finish of the men's marathon. Shortly after that, the women's marathon.
Let's say the information I got is wrong. That's Mizzou Worku leading this race. I'd gotten Kurgat, which makes a lot more sense to me because Kurgat's not near the runner that Worku is. Worku's the 2:05 runner that should be up front.
All right, Mizzou Worku also from Ethiopia leading the pack here. We'll be back with more of our coverage right after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to ABC 13's coverage of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the Aramco Half Marathon, here with Tom Cook, John Warren, our running expert. And we've got reporters stationed all throughout the route. Pace cams right in front of the leaders this morning. We've had winners already in the men's and the women's half marathon. No records set, but definitely some quick paces considering the weather was a little bit of an issue. Hey, we are going to take you live now to Elisa Rivas. She is at the turnaround this morning. Always kind of a little tricky spot there for folks. In fact, we had some slips and falls last year or the year before.
The year before when it was wet.
That's right. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning. Yes, race organizers out here, they are on it this morning, encouraging the marathon runners to keep going on Montrose, and the others, the half marathon runners, to turn around and head back toward downtown. I was a little concerned earlier because the streets are so slick that the turnaround could pose kind of a problem, but I've been watching these half marathon runners come through. They look good. Haven't seen anybody slip. We like to see that. It is an incredible physical feat to be out here running the marathon, running the half marathon in these conditions. But as we all know, running a race like this, it is not just a physical feat, it is mental as well. And here's the story of one Marine and how running is helping him to heal.
January 27th, 2005 is when I was injured in Iraq. We just got off of a 8-9 hour patrol. We heard some whistles, which is usually how mortars sound. Everything was on fire and was smoke everywhere. And a few minutes later, I just kind of passed out. I fractured my femur. I broke my knuckle. They put a plate on my right hand. I had concussion. I had shrapnel on the side of my head. And there was some internal things as well.
Along with his physical injuries, Corporal Eusebio Colazo came home with non-visible injuries.
Depression, anxiety, isolating myself. I really never heard of like post-traumatic stress or anything like that.
But he discovered an organization called Team Red, White, and Blue.
Team Red, White, and Blue is a nonprofit organization who aims to enrich the lives of wounded veterans and veterans who are exiting the military and entering back into the civilian life. We put together run groups and and other athletic events.
So today, he runs for a bigger reason.
I used it as a therapy. I started running more, I started losing weight, I got more involved with the organization. Running just really brought me back to who I was. I run for veterans who can't run, veterans who passed away, veterans who have disabilities. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I mean, for my first marathon.
And when he crosses the finish line,
I'll probably get on my knees and start crying.
And I like to think about that as we're out here every year covering this event, that each individual runner, whether it's 5K, marathon, half marathon, each individual runner has a reason, has a motivation. There is no other way to come out here in these kind of conditions, the rain and the wind, the wet streets, and finish a physical feat like this unless you've got an incredible reason to do it coming from the inside. Back to you guys.
Okay, Elisa Rivas, thank you very much. If you have questions for us, go to our ABC 13 website and
Facebook page,
Twitter. Email us questions, but we already have some tweets.
Yeah, we do. And one of the great ways for us to see it is if you just use the hashtag for the marathon, which is hashtag HOU Marathon, and that's how we'll see it. So this is one that we just got in. The elite runners are doing awesome, but as are all the runners for braving this weather. And you can see there's the example of using the hashtag. You put that into your tweet, and it puts it into a stream in case you're not real familiar with Twitter and how to use it. And once you type in that stream in your search, all of the other folks who've used the same hashtag, it'll come up. Okay. So that's just one way of making that work.
Wishing I was part of the excitement and atmosphere. Well, start training now, and you can be part of it next year. Weather conditions don't dampen the runner spirit. Not so far.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think we've got one more. Go, Jordan, go. And this is what we're seeing with a lot of our tweets, that they're cheering on a specific person, perhaps a specific Run for the Reason charity, running the first marathon for son Charlie, who has type 1 diabetes. And you can see the hashtag for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So a great way to kind of spread the word. And I've even actually been retweeting a lot of your tweets this morning. So we'll put the power to the people out there. And we'd love to hear your questions. If you've got something for John, maybe you've got a question on, you've been inspired. Oh, look at this young one. Is this one of our little
younger
people?
Runners here.
I love it.
Wow, he looks good too.
Yeah, and as we said, we had a 7-year-old. Is it? Yeah, yeah. 1:33. Here he comes in the half marathon. One of the younger runners here today. Wow, he is really making his way down to the finish line here, along with those who are about twice as big as he is. That is a great time. You're right. 1:34. That would be just over, well, let's see, 3:15 marathon if you double that or a little more.
A little less. Wow. 3:08.
Yeah.
That's a good marathon. That's impressive
amazing.
For somebody that young. And he puts his hands on his head like they teach in track in junior high.
I like it.
Is that right?
Yeah, they usually stop doing it by the time they get to college.
Right. It's not as cool looking by then, right?
Exactly. So it doesn't really work but it feels good.
We'll show you more of the finishers. And then we've got the big finish to the men's and women's marathon coming up shortly. Back in a minute. Welcome back, everyone. The 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the 13th running of the Aramco Half Marathon, and we have less than ideal conditions today for the spectators who are lining this race course. This is the finish line here in downtown Houston, right outside the George R. Brown Convention Center. The men's and the women's half marathon winners have already come through the tape this morning. You're looking at other people who are now finishing the half marathon. In about 30 minutes or so, we will get the finishers, the top finishers in the men's marathon. And so far, so good, because the rain has held off here in the last 30 minutes.
It's true. We've been concerned all morning, not just about the wind and the rain and the cold, but also the lightning. We had some thunderstorms out there this morning. We're actually going to take you back to the studio. Meteorologist David Tillman is standing by to give us an update on what you're seeing on the radar. Good morning, David.
Good morning, guys. Things are really beginning to look a whole lot better for the rest of the marathon. We still do have an active thunderstorm inside the city of Houston and even inside the Sixteen Loop, but it's on the east side of town, and it's moving away from the area where the marathon is occurring. Here is that thunderstorm, and I'll call it a thunderstorm because it is producing cloud-to-ground lightning right now. Here is the east loop right here. Here is the east belt, and here's Interstate 10 right here. And that thunderstorm is occurring in that particular area. You do see cloud-to-ground lightning strikes occurring around Interstate 10, East Freeway, also along the east loop. Here is where the marathon is occurring, right about in here. That cell is to the east of that location, and it's moving away. And once we are done with that particular thunderstorm, things are really going to wind down because that cell is moving away. In the last 10 minutes, we've seen 4 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes with that particular cell. Most of the heavy rain with it has actually missed the marathon. And look at this. You look to the south and west of town to see if there's anything else heading for Houston. There is not. I think this is the last of the heavy activity that we're going to see this morning, and then things are really going to begin to improve as far as the rain goes, but it's still going to be windy and it's still going to be cold out there. Right now, the temperatures are ranging from the low and middle 40s. It's 42 degrees at Memorial Park, 44 at Hobby Airport. Current temperature in Katy is 40 degrees. And you factor in a wind that's sustained at about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and that gives us wind chills at this time in the middle 30s here in Southeast Texas. Here's the AccuWeather forecast. We're just about done with the rain today. Temperatures will make it into the upper 40s this afternoon. After that, we'll see a few more scattered showers in the forecast for Monday Saturday and Tuesday will continue to be cool, and then we'll finally start to see some sunshine as we get to late in the day on Wednesday. Tom, Casey, back to you.
Thank you, David Tillman. We're about to see, and there he is, the winner of the wheelchair marathon. That must have been a very, very difficult, wet race, cold race this morning, John, as you're trying to...
that front wheel can't be helping much. There's got to be water hitting you the entire time.
Yeah,
so I give him a lot of credit. That was a heck of an effort out there.
Yeah, you're trying to propel on those wet streets into the cold and windy conditions.
I'm always amazed at the number of people that turn out for every segment of this race. We had the 5K yesterday, even before the marathon and half marathon took off this morning, the wheelchair racers took off, and it's just such a great turnout. People just really testing themselves on every level today.
Right, and you got to be in awe of the people that do that, the wheelchair or the runners who have to pull this off today.
Yeah. Here's the leaders in the marathon. On the left, Basu Worku of Ethiopia, 22 years old, and then on the right, who is in the lead for the women, John?
It's the same folks that have been there the whole time. I mean, it's Safa, it's Diba, and it's Muhammad Hassan. Well, there's a variety of names sometimes with the Ethiopians at the end. They're going in different directions, if you will. Murku is just getting faster and faster. He's running a 448 mile, 449 miles, what he's done the last two. He's slowly getting to where he's went from we thought would be a 214, 215 pace. Now he's at 209, and if he continues this over the last 6 miles, he's in the 21st mile at this point. He could run 207, 208. Most likely be 208, 209, but he is really flying. The next person, obviously you can't see him, they're over a minute behind at this point, maybe a minute 20 behind, unless he just really fades. Now granted, 20 miles is the halfway point. It's a very difficult time to finish. Cramping could occur. I don't think that'll occur because it's so cold out, but he's running away with it at this point, and he's running pretty fast.
Let me ask you about age, because this is a sport that differs from many other sports in that sometimes you get better as you get older. I mean, we have Fernando Kabata, who is one of the top American runners, 30 years old. Dedebe Talasa from Ethiopia, 31 years old, and then you have Basu Worku, only 22 years old. Is there a difference in age, and do they get better?
Normally, this is a race that historically somewhere between 28 and even 35, 36, you're your best. Normally, but we're seeing some younger and younger guys run fast. He set the world junior record at 206 and he's 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, he didn't mess around with the track stuff. He didn't mess around with the shorter distance stuff like most of us do. He jumped straight to the marathon, and that's happening more and more. There hasn't been enough young guys who've done it long enough to see if they could do well at 22, then at 30, then at 35. They seem to not. We'll test out and see what Workrow is in 10 years. So, in theory, if he's going to continue to do what most people do, he'll run at 203, 204 in his life.
I don't know how they run it more than 1 year.
I know, it's amazing stuff, isn't it? So we're going to take you live to the West Park Bridge this morning, where you can see even more action out there on the course this morning. And lots of folks
out there.
Coming cold across that bridge. Don't go away. We've got more live coverage from the Chevron Houston Marathon coming up after the break.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Chevron Houston Marathon and the Aramco Half Marathon. I'm Tom Cook, along with Casey Curry and John Warren, the Rice University track coach, bringing you this live coverage this morning. We've had to bring out our gloves this morning because the wind is blowing quite briskly outside the George R. Brown and all across town.
Mine got wet on the start line.
Oh, they did? Okay.
I've ditched mine. I'm just going to have to brave it out like everybody else out here today.
Yeah, I was really surprised with the wind and how it's funneled down in front of the George R. Brown here.
Someday, Tom Cook, you will listen to me about the weather. We get here. I can't even tell you. We get ready to leave. I'm going to sell you out here. He starts off just in his fleece. And he's like, I'm going to be hot. And I'm like, Tom, you're not going to be hot.
I have my insulated jacket on.
We've added more coats. We've added the gloves.
And I should have worn the long johns just like you did.
Yes, you should have. Wear the cashmere tights like I have on.
But 4 or 5 hours ago, it was actually warm.
It was. No, you're right. When we all got up this morning, temperatures were in the 60s and 70s. You get out here, this front rolls through, and it shows you we dropped a good 30 degrees out there.
Yeah. All right, let's take you to the race course. Elisa Rivas with more on the runners who are out there this morning. Good morning again to you.
Good morning. Yes, we're here at mile marker 9. It is the turnaround for the half marathon. We have the crowds thick out here now as the runners making their way along this course. A lot of them wearing those watches, trying to get a personal best, running the fastest time they've ever run. Not going to look good for a lot of runners in these conditions, but I can tell you that a lot of the runners out here are also trying to qualify for other races. My colleague Adela Uchida is trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon and has made some changes in her training in the last year that she hopes will be the key.
This is the 5th Houston Marathon, 6th marathon overall. Last year, I set a personal record, 3:53:29. I wasn't expecting the PR. I missed Boston by 8 minutes. I got online and I just started looking for Houston running coaches.
All right, Della, today's workout is pain is your friend, your favorite workout of all.
I wanted someone who was experienced, who'd been to Boston, who was faster than me.
There you go, good job, keep it up, keep it up.
Someone who could basically smoke me out on the track so that I couldn't do what I do, which is use what minimal amount of actual running talent I have to kind of smoke people and not have to work.
All right, 700 right there.
I came across Tim. He makes me run hard. He has made me aware that I run very unevenly. I can take off very fast, or I can push fast in the middle for no reason. I don't have a real good sense of my own pace, which could be part of the problem.
You have the aerobic side of it, then you have the anaerobic side of it, and you try to combine the two together to create stamina. Here we are trying to, mesh the two together to create hopefully a Boston qualifier.
So I think this has been really helpful in helping me gain stamina and strength.
Keep it up, keep those arms down.
If I have a good day on race day, and I continue with the training at the pace that it is, I predict a 3:41. We'll see.
We will see. Despite these raining conditions, we are sending our very best vibes to Adela Uchida today as she tries to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Back to you guys.
Now, Elisa, watching all these spectators, watching Adela train for this, does this inspire you to do this one of these days?
I'm sorry, you'll have to ask that again. It's actually a little bit loud out here, and there's music with the spectators.
I said, after watching all this, are you inspired to run a marathon or a half one of these days?
Every time I come out here, I cover this every year, and then I go to the Y and I get on the treadmill and I'm tired after 3 miles, and I'm like, oh, it takes an incredible amount of internal determination and desire to do this. And so, yeah, maybe a half marathon here in the next couple of years, but nobody out there should place any bets on that, though.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, we'll talk to your husband about whether that comes true or not. Okay.
Yeah, I can see your daughter Vanessa running before Elisa gets to that.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll check back in with you in just a few minutes from now.
I thought she was just ignoring you. She's like, oh, I can't hear you. I thought for sure she was just ignoring you.
That's what I thought, too. Let's check out the pace cams now, and John can give us an idea of where we stand in the men's and the women's marathon this morning.
The last bit of information I got on the men's marathon, he may run in the 208s. He is flying to 4:49. He came through the 21st mile at 1:43, which is on pace to go 2:09. The women have still fallen off just a little bit, but they're still running a really good time. Probably 2:24 at best, maybe 2:25. But things have changed. We've seen it in the past in this marathon. It looks like they're going to run a certain pace, and then like last year, he starts running phenomenal splits. They're dropping the pace more and more. So if one of these women decide to break away, it could be very, very interesting. I'm still fascinated with Asafa out here because jumping from the 1500 to the marathon. She's a world-class 1,500-meter runner, and she didn't move. She did 110K and then bam, all the way to the marathon. That's not an apples-to-apples move. So it's outstanding. I'm interested to see how this finishes up.
Yeah, and Bazu Worko all by himself here leading the men's marathon this morning.
4:49 pace. If he keeps us up, it's going to be quick.
That'd be great. All right, and we're going to come back with the finish of the marathon in the men's and women's right after this.
The Chevron Houston Marathon, Aramco Houston Half Marathon, and ABB 5K is brought to you by Chevron, Aramco Services Company, and ABB.
What you see behind you is human energy at work. Everyone on this site who's got a Chevron shirt on has gotten where they are today because somebody created an opportunity for them. And this is us having a chance to create an opportunity for somebody else to be successful and realize their dreams. And I think one of the things that we do that really makes a difference is we leverage funds with people. So we don't just go out and give money, but we also have people go out and get engaged. And none of this would be possible with just the money. You have to have people come out and actually do the work. We're also very active with the Houston Food Bank. I think it's a fantastic organization. They've been fighting hunger in Houston for well over 30 years, and Chevron's been a big partner there.
We have 3,000 employees that are volunteering at the Houston Food Bank this year, and we'll put together, I think, 125,000 nutritious meals for the Houston community. So, you know, it's a great impact.
I love coming out and doing this, but I volunteer regularly at the food bank. I volunteer here with Habitat. I volunteer in the schools. It makes you feel so good to see the impact of what we do.
Over the past several years, I have volunteered in different ways through the Chevron Humankind campaigns, but this is the first time I've been able to directly support an organization that I'm involved with as a board member. For me personally, I mean, it says a lot that a company is willing to have its employees on work time, you know, volunteering, and that they find value in us spending our time supporting organizations like AIDS Foundation Houston.
Human energy creates opportunities for individuals to get better, it creates opportunity for Chevron to get better, and it creates the opportunity for the community to get better. And we wouldn't be where we are today without human energy.
Yeah, we certainly wouldn't be here today without Chevron. Thank you to Greg Vesey and the rest of the people at Chevron. President of Chevron's Natural Gas Division, why did Chevron get involved in this initially?
Well, you know, Houston is so important to Chevron. We have over 10,000 employees here now, and it's just an important community for us. And if you look at our Humankind campaign, it's all about giving back to the community. So from a management standpoint down to the employee volunteers, some 800 volunteer runners and participants today on the course. It just has a really nice fit for us, and that's why we did it. And it's, as you can see over here in our suite, now our customers like it. So we're entertaining, you know, how many events can you get customers to show up at 6:30 in the morning when it's rainy and cold?
I know, right?
And have coffee and donuts watching the runners. But they love it. They love it. If you leave somebody off the list, they call and say, hey, can I get on the marathon list again this year? So it's just awesome. It's an awesome
Do you feel
event.
like it has an impact at work?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's very important to the employees. And if I could give you a visual, in our offices downtown, about 30 days before the race begins, they put up these big finish line things similar to this with a countdown.
Is that right?
And it gets everybody fired. I think people want to volunteer. They want to run if you're capable. I happen to do the coffee thing a lot better than running.
Yes.
But
Me too.
but they really want to be be and we're actually seeing more and more employees want to be involved in the running, because one of the other things we do at Chevron is promote personal health.
Right.
And so anything you can do to take care of yourself and be athletic is a good thing.
You know, last year when you joined us up here, didn't you hint that you might be interested in running a half marathon?
No, I did not hint that.
Wasn't that you? I thought that was.
No.
It looked like him, didn't it?
I thought that was you.
When we talk in the executive ranks of Chevron in town, we do the coffee customer thing much better.
They crossed VC's name right off the list. Is that it?
Now, how do you feel about, we know this is such a successful event, but I personally love the turn that it's taken in the last few years with Run for a Reason, with so many charities. That has got to be just another wonderful component.
You're absolutely right, Casey. I mean, we're supporting some 2,600 charities in Houston. The marathon, the money that's generated for those charities, it just, you know, it gives it the whole around event a good thing. You couple that now with the Olympic trials we did last year.
Right.
I mean, you're really checking every box that you want for a community event, which is really outstanding.
You know, I saw one of your employees out there before with a Texans hat on. They had a Texans hat and a Chevron shirt on. How about this, huh? The Houston Texans.
Oh, this would be
we
could make
be
this a
back home
great
next week.
day. This could be a great day. Yes, absolutely.
And
having
Greg,
an
did you
AFC
know that it's
championship
Tom Cook's
here.
birthday today, too?
Oh,
I mean,
happy
I don't know
birthday.
if we've mentioned that yet, but, you know, we should just couple all these great things together. The marathon, Chevron sponsoring the marathon, Texans winning, Tom Cook's birthday.
So if the Texans could win, that would be the ultimate.
Oh, that would be the great gift.
Since the Packers couldn't do it for you last night. Right.
People know I'm a Texans fan and a Packer fan, and the Packers didn't do it, so let's do it, Texans.
That's right.
Very
the pressure's
good.
Greg
on.
Vesey, thank you very much. And as I said, without Chevron, this marathon would not be possible. We'll have you back again next year.
Thank you so much. You bet. You bet. And we appreciate your partnership here and the great job you guys do with the race.
We won't claim that you're running next year anymore.
No more. No more.
Right.
Thank
Greg
you so
Vesey,
much.
the president of Chevron Natural Gas. And we're back with much more and the winners of the men's and women's marathon right after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to ABC 13's coverage of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the Aramco Half Marathon. I'm Casey Curry, along with Tom Cook. We've got John Warren, our race running coach, hanging by with us today. You're looking at a live look here from our pace cams. These are the leaders in the men's and women's marathon. We've already had the winners come across in the men's and women's half marathon. So we will be, we're really just minutes away.
Yeah,
Tom,
we really are. And they're all by themselves. This is
are.
Bazu Worko on the left from Ethiopia. And I'm not sure who that is on the right, the women's leader, but she is all by herself now after being in a pack for much
like
of this
3 or
race.
4 women, yeah.
So we're going to have good paces despite the weather today and despite the wind, which has pushed against them.
It's true. We've been checking in with meteorologist David Tillman all morning back at the station because he's been watching some of these thunderstorms. As you know, lightning is the only thing that would put a stop to this race. That's just too dangerous. But all of the storms have moved pretty much out to the east. So we're going to keep a little bit of rain and also the cold and wet. We've got tweets for you, and we really do want to see these. And all you have to do is use the hashtag HOU Marathon, and then we'll see them. This one, marathons are hard enough on good days. Hats off to those running in this downpour.
That is so true. Hats off to everyone out here.
We would love to see your tweets. Good luck, all runners, especially my sis Tracy H. You beat breast cancer, and I know you can do this.
You go, Tracy.
I love it. And there's so many people like that are running this race as a real benchmark.
How about this one? So motivated to run the marathon next year. So many people say that when they come out and watch
We're holding it to you. And I have personally been loving this. In every break, I'm on my phone and on my iPad looking at the tweets. And this one came across, and it's talking about Worku, who's the men's leader, who's still up front. He's all by himself, as we have talked about. And so what this person did is they posted a YouTube video of the song All By Myself.
All by myself.
You got it. So really, I mean, have some fun with social media today. We really are looking at everything. We would love to hear your shout outs to your friends and family that are running. We'd love to hear their stories. And if you ran the race or know someone that did, let them know that we'd love to hear some tweets from them.
And don't forget, 10:35 tonight, the finish line, our wrap-up show, a half an hour, and we'll show you your friends and neighbors who are out here running today. And we will show you the winner of the men's and women's right after this. As we wait for the winners in the men's and the women's marathon, and we check with John now on what kind of pace we're running so far.
In the women's race, it's gotten out of hand. Maria Muhammad has just started to drop the hammer on the other two. She's got a 75-meter lead. She's running 5:21 and a 5:23 mile coming home down Allen Parkway, which is a very difficult place to run. The wind should be a crosswind, not necessarily a tailwind, but maybe it's a tailwind, but it's pushing her along very quickly. She could get into 2:23. She's really gone fast after running some 5:44s in the middle of the race. She's flying right now.
And she's a teenager. She's 19 years old.
Get out.
Yeah, one of the top teenage marathoners in the world. 19
He's
years
young.
old.
Like you said, there's a lot of young ones this year.
She ran if I'm records right, 2:21, I think, when she was 18. And she ran a 2:23 in October, so she's on pace to really fly again.
And here she is, all by herself with a rabbit leading her.
You can kind of see, this person around the corner. The rabbit just checked for her. There's a person around the corner, but if she keeps this up, there's no way. I mean, she'll probably slow down a little bit even. But if she keeps this up, she's going to be obviously incredibly fast today.
All right, now what about Basu Worku, the leader in the men's race?
He's still got a huge lead. He's falling, he's falling back to 5:05 pace. And so it's looking like he'll run about 2:09 mid, which, we've gotten kind of spoiled the last few years. 2:10.04 was the record for 20 years. Then the last 5 years, it's just gotten demolished. 2:07s down to 2:06s. So he's going to run 2:09. Maybe if he falters a little bit, 2:10. It's going to be an outstanding time in any conditions. But today, it's just phenomenal. But he'll end up winning by quite a bit.
And so, John, he's been by himself really for most of, at least since I got up here on the desk about an hour ago.
He made a pretty good move, if I remember right, back about 17, 18 miles, and he's been alone from that time period on. But he started running. The move made sense because he was running the 440s. He was at a 2:06 type pace at that point, and then so other people couldn't hang with him. So he gapped him pretty good.
He is 22 years old as well, also from Ethiopia. Why is it that the Ethiopians have almost taken over so many of the races in the last couple of years?
Still the dominant country, still Kenya. 2:10 flat last year was the 100th best Kenyan. And then Ethiopia's number 2. They had 43 people under 2:10 last year.
But we do see the Ethiopians here at this race and at a number of others.
Right, and they at this race, the way it works is a lot of contacts, and they have a really good contact with an agent that works with a lot of the Ethiopian athletes. So they set up deals with them to bring the athletes down here, brings in a lot of the rabbits, and it puts a lot of his younger runners on the stage. Like Mariga was a huge coup for this marathon. He was already up there, and he made a big jump. But they've had a lot of people make, like last year's winner, Pelosa, he was a 2:09 marathon before he got here, and he cut 2 minutes off his best time.
Yeah, and for those of you that think running is just another sport, these guys have agents,
it's
appearance fees. It is a business.
Yes, it is. And it was interesting because I was talking to one of our producers, Justin Sternberg, and he's actually running the race. He's a marathoner. And I was just saying, oh, wow, the weather's going to be so brutal, especially for those elite runners. And he's like, oh, Casey, the elite runners.
They get paid.
They get paid. This is a job for them.
Yes.
This isn't like the rest of the everyday folks who this really is such a challenge. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's different, I think, when you get paid to run versus you're running, for the pride of it. So
exactly. It's like the conditions in tonight's football game.
Yeah, same thing.
I mean, we're not going to go and play pickup football in those conditions, but those guys are going to go out there because it's their profession.
And it doesn't change that it's difficult, but it does change the motivation, I think, for sure.
But you really don't have a choice because the marathons actually bid against each other. I mean, you only have a handful of marathons a year. If you see someone run 5 or 6 a year, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Most of these really top guys do 2 or 3 a year. Worko did 4 last year. That's actually quite a big number. And 2 are quite slow and 2 are quite fast. And the way the marathons they choose to go to and how they get the athletes to show up involves appearance money, and it involves what the conditions are going to be like. China has tons of marathons that these guys run.
Is that right? Now the top of the top run what, 2 to 3 marathons a year at best?
At best, yes. They'll usually do about 2. Last year a lot of folks did a marathon and then the Olympics and then shut it down, and they'll start doing they'll gear for Boston. Some did Chicago. They'll gear for Boston and Rotterdam and London.
You mentioned China. Are the Chinese big into running or just into having the shows to have the runners there?
I think they're more into having the shows and having. It's not like the Japanese, which are really big into running. And they had 6 people under 210 last year. Men. We had 4 men. Qatar had 4 men. That was about it. No one else had more than 1.
Talk about, and you may have mentioned this earlier in the show when I was out at the start line, but the fact that they didn't run the New York City Marathon this year, and what impact that had on some of the runners that we got.
Yeah.
And like you said, because they can only run so many a year, so some people may not have run hours if they were going to run New York City.
Right. There's only one Diba. Buchanan Diba was supposed to run New York, and then that got canceled. Okay. A lot of folks that were supposed to do New York jumped into half marathons right after the fact, and then picked up another one. One of the challenges of not going to New York is there's not another big name marathon, the really big marathon, until that weekend of Boston, London. That time period, Rotterdam. So something Houston's is the best marathon in that gap. We're like the best winter marathon there is maybe in the world.
Yeah, and Buchanan Diba was supposed to do very, very well in the New York Marathon. She told us on Friday that she was hoping to set a new personal record there, if not, a course record there. In the New York Marathon, it was canceled, so she had no choice, and then came here.
Right, and that time gap is not an easy time gap to deal with, because she would have pulled a 3 or 4 week taper. So there's a detraining effect to that that's perfect for that day, but then it doesn't really affect you until 2 or 3 weeks after the marathon. So she'd have to try to build back up. So her training is going to be off kilter a little bit when she came today.
What do they do to decompress after a race for the first week, second week, third week? How do they go about it after this?
There's a lot of massage, a lot of ice. They try to stay active. If they want to, the quicker you can get back running, the quicker you can turn around and race again. It's more difficult, I think, the faster you run to recover. It took me months to recover from marathons if I ran a fast race.
All right, Basu Worko of Ethiopia, 22 years old, rounding the corner, and is going to win this 2013 Chevron Houston Marathon. Here he comes, John.
Yeah, coming in home, he fell off those 4:49s. He went to 5:05, and it's still going to be a good time, but he's going to fall in the 2:10 range. So I don't have the split right now, but I'd imagine his last couple miles will be more in the 5:10 to 5:15 range, or even a touch slower. Once he knew he was going to win it and not run fast, I think it was super fast. He didn't kill it. But this is really a truly outstanding effort on a day like today. And I think we're going to find that the next place guy is probably 2:11 high, maybe 2:12, which is still a good time. But like you said, he had done a lot of the work all by himself.
Yeah.
2:10.15, Basu Worko, the winner of this year's Chevron Houston Marathon, as they wrap him up in that aluminum blanket and hopefully get him some warmth and drape him in the Ethiopian flag. He's got to be one happy guy. He's 40,000 richer.
That's right. That's not a bad day of work, is it?
Bad payday. We'll get his comments, and David Nuno will interview him right after this. Stay right there.
That's an incentive to finish hard.
Welcome back, everybody, to ABC 13's live coverage of the Chevron Houston Marathon, the Aramco Half Marathon. We just saw the winner of the men's marathon cross the finish line, Basu Worko, all by himself. We haven't seen anybody else cross in the marathon just yet.
Yeah, unofficially 2:10.15 was the time. About 4 minutes slower than our record last year, John?
A little bit, 3:30, yeah, but it's still, you go back again to 06 and beyond. 2:10.04 was the fastest that was run here. We had some great runners, Olympians, Olympic medalists that had run here and not run anywhere close to that. So that's a stupendous time. Anyways, we just gotten kind of spoiled by the performances we've had the last few years. So that's one we should be very proud of. On the women's side, we may get a record.
Really?
We may get a record. I think there's a $15,000 bonus for her. She is absolutely flying. Like I said earlier, she had some dull miles, 5:44s out there. She ran a 5:20 for her 23rd mile.
You're talking about Mermu Mohammed. She's also from Ethiopia.
And so to get a record, she's got to finish within the next 9 minutes. She's got 9 minutes exactly.
Tough is that in a windy day like this?
This is stunning. I mean, again, like Worko, she may fall off the last couple miles and not do it, but she right now is obviously attempting to do it because she's just run away from everybody, and her last mile was a 5:20.
She drafting a rabbit?
She's drafted. She does have an advantage over the men because when there's a headwind, she has someone to stick right behind. This is like if you ever watch cycling, what a big deal. It's not as big a deal as it is in cycling. Cycling, it's massive, but it is a little bit of a deal here. It is an advantage versus not having anybody out there.
And look at the crowd.
I was just going to say that. We do have a crowd.
This is amazing, and this is one of the things that I really do love about Houston. It's such a supportive city out there, braving this is awful weather. I mean, this is not any fun for a spectator. Like you said, the runners have it much better today than the spectators, and they're out there in full force today.
Yeah, and how do you feel when you're doing the half marathon next to the people who are completing the marathon, and they're far outpacing you?
I actually thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, if I was finishing up the half right now, and I saw these world-class athletes running right beside me, I'd be pretty excited.
It's great as the world-class athlete because all these people are a moving cheering section.
Yeah, that's
true. Even in the local races, they do what they call the warm-up series, and they often on a loop course like the 25K, it's just cheering both sides all the time. You hear your name called out. They know who you are.
Does that matter to an elite runner?
Again, versus having nothing, it really helps. And if you hear your name, it's sort of a little pump, and that's the beauty of having a name on your chest.
Right.
People can see it. But these people coming in here are going to cheer her on. They'll still know who it is, and they'll yell. They may not know her name, but they'll yell go, and it's a real big plus.
Yeah, and we have a number of people we've seen along the course today, too, wearing the shirts today. Is that... Oh, Bazu Worku is right there.
He's
clothes.
He might have been working the crowd or something. I think he must have gone back to get his sweats or something like that.
He might have. He is no longer dressed in that aluminum blanket. But he's going to go over to David Nuno and hopefully talk to him in just a second. There he is, running back to, I guess,
running back up the race.
Moments ago, I didn't see that until they just pointed that out to us now, wearing the flag of Ethiopia. How about that?
All of his
seeing his
supporters
countrymen. There he is, getting the big hugs.
There's actually quite a few. There's a big Ethiopian contingent in this town.
I was about to say that those are probably not people that he actually knows.
Right.
Those are just people who
live
call
in Houston.
Ethiopia, who live in Houston, call it home, but yet are from Ethiopia.
Yeah,
because he saw the guy in his Dynamo hat right there. Clearly a Houstonian on some level.
Yeah, I was going to say we saw a number of people wearing shirts that said, my name is Jim, cheer me on, or holler for me, my name is Cheryl. So it's interesting. That's one way to get the cheers as you run the race course today.
That is so great. I love him running backwards. Hey, I've got so much energy. I'm going to run backwards on the course for a little bit.
That's right.
Say hi to everybody.
Usually after you finish a short race, you have some energy and bounciness. 2 steps off the line, most time in the marathon, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
I don't want to jog to the car.
I've done my work today.
If it's pouring down rain at this point, I can handle the rain.
Bazu is done going and cheering with his countrymen. He's with David Nuno now. David?
Thanks, Tom. We're here with his interpreter and Bazu. What a great performance out there. How do you feel?
ባዚ በጣም ጥሩ አድርገን ፐርፎርም ያደረከውና እንዴት ምን ተሰማህ?
ያው ትንሽ አየሩ ከባድ ነው። ሙሉ በሙሉ ንፋስ ነው ያለው። ንፋስ ባይኖር ያው ከአምስት ለመሮጥ ነበር ሐሳቤ። ያው የመጣውበት በጣም ንፋስ አለው፣ ዝናብ አለው። ሰውነታችን በጣም ተጨማደደ እና መሄድ አልቻልንም።
It was good, but there was a big winds and the rain. That's why we were a bit late, but I could have improved his record.
Afterwards, a nice celebration. Seems like you had some friends and family out there cheering you on. How did that feel? And tell me some of the conversation you had afterward.
ይሄን ካሸነፍክ በኋላ ከቤተሰብ ጋራ እና ከዘመዶች ጋራ ያደረከው ምን እንዴት ይሰማሃል ነው?
ያው መጀመሪያ ግን ያው እግዚአብሔርን ነው ማመሰግነው። ያው ትንሽ አሙኝ ከሩጫ ርቄ ነበረ እና ያው ከ2010 ጀምሮ በርሊን ማራቶን ከዛ ወዲህ እመም ላይ ነበርኩ በጉዳት ከዛ ወዲህ የመጀመሪያዬን ማሸነፌ ነው።
He said he thanked God for this result, and he was sick before this time, in 2010 he was in Berlin. That's the last time he ran this race, and he thanks God still.
And with these conditions, what are you thinking during the run? I mean, you've got yourself a nice lead. What are you thinking with all this cold, all this rain that's happening?
በዚህ ሁሉ በብርዱ በዝናቡ እንደዚህ አድርገህ ስትሮጥ ምን ይሰማሃል?
ያው በጣም ከባድ ነው ማለት ንፋሱ ለየት ያለ ነው። እንደገና ውሃው መሬት ተኝቷል እና በጣም ያው ጥንካሬን ያው ለማሸነፍ ስለመጣው ጥሩ ተዘጋጅቼ ስለነበረ ያው ከ21 ኪሎ ሜትር በኋላ በራሴ መሄድ ወስኜ ነው የወጣሁት።
He said, in fact, there was a water in the streets and the wind was blowing up, but he said, I came to win. It didn't let me, to back up, so I have to run.
Well, congratulations. Let's put on the hat and make you an official Texan. Great job, Azu. Appreciate that. Tom, back to you.
Congratulate you officially on the winner of the Chevron Houston Marathon. Well done, my friend.
Chevron ስም ይሄንን ጃብ አበረክትልሃለሁ። እንኳን ደስ አለህ።
Put on that 10-gallon hat, and you're officially a Texan.
That's right. That's all it takes. Really? Win a marathon, put on a hat.
I love it.
We'll call you one of ours,
and
happily.
It's a symbol of the Houston Marathon.
Yeah.
And we have the women's winner coming across the finish line right after this. And welcome back, everyone, to the 41st running of the Chevron Houston Marathon. Here is the finish line as we await the winner in the women's marathon, Merumu Mohammed, 19 years old from Ethiopia, considered one of the top women's marathoners in the world. She won the Dusseldorf, Germany marathon in 2011, among others. There's her personal record, 2:23:04. And John Warren, Rice University track coach, who's been with us all morning long, how does that compare to today's time?
I have a feeling today's effort's a lot greater than that one was. Because she's going to run 2:23. From the last splits I got, unless she just hammers home this last mile, she's not going to get the record, but she'll run the second fastest time. The 2:23, that's happened twice in this marathon. Last year, the winner ran 2:23:14, Alametu Abera, 2:23:14, which is fantastic, and I thought that the record would last a while. I didn't think anybody had a chance to get a record today, but she really pulled away from everybody.
Well,
has the benefit of the rabbit
down
coming
the
in,
stretch.
and she's not going to make it. She's not going to make 2:20. I don't think. I can't see her yet, but she's got to really sprint.
She is right up the street about 100 yards away here, so she's going to have to sprint if she's going to try and make it.
Yeah, the rabbit just pulled off, and she's still not in our sight. But she's going to. The second fastest time ever was 2 years ago by Teba Orkeso, who went on to win the Boston Marathon that same year, 2:23:53, and she's going to break that record. Because she's in sight now. She's just going to fall right in that gap. 2:23 is, I know she's done it before, and it's an outstanding run. But in today's conditions, because the wind helps you, obviously if it's a tailwind, but it doesn't balance out. A headwind hurts you much more than a tailwind does, and that's just a stupendous effort today.
All right, 2:23:37. Merumu Mohammed of Ethiopia. You saw those countrymen from Ethiopia cheering her along in the last 100 yards or so as they wrap her in that blanket to try and keep her warm. You know, Casey, I was watching the finish line and the people coming through in the half marathon, and they're making me cold because, in the shorts and the singlets, and here we are bundled up on our desk.
Well, and that's the thing I wonder about, too, is, folks get done with the race. You've shed all the clothing you had on before you started. Now what do you do unless you've got somebody here who's helping you out and got extra clothes for you?
The beauty is of this building, again, you get to go inside, but they have a wonderful system where you can drop off whatever you want and you pick it all up later. So they could have a change of clothes, they could have piles of clothes, another pair of shoes, depending on whatever they planned ahead to bring. And at the expo the last 2 days, you can get some pretty good deals, so you buy stuff that's almost throwaway, and you can just throw it away at the end, or you just have to, if you forgot it or you don't own it, you don't want to risk losing it, you just get some cheap stuff.
I saw a couple of guys a few years ago sneak beer in the water bottles for the end of the race, and they left it with their stuff. And they were inside.
I've heard that from people sometimes, that beer really is something that people want to drink.
Well, there's also beer on the course.
Yes, I've heard that.
There's a couple running clubs or triathlon clubs will have beer sections around 21, 24 miles. And not very many people, but occasionally people will stop. Like, it's going bad enough anyways, I'll just have a beer.
Well, one of the top marathons in the world, not for money or anything else, but just attractiveness, is in France, where they run between 7 chateaus in the south of France, and they serve wine along the way.
And the course, you probably have to be finished in 14 hours on a course like that.
They probably leave it open for a couple of days. Who knows? As we watch some of the others come through, this is one of the men's entrants in the marathon as they make their way now across the finish line. Obviously, the half marathon is the biggest crowd so far.
Right, and that's on the left-hand side of the screen. These are all our half marathoners that are finishing, and then we've got kind of our better, if not elite, marathoners on the right-hand side.
Right. These are today, again, this is still very good. Last year's winner Last year's winner at 2:07:41, I think. He ran a 2:18 today. To give you an idea, and he's fit. He ran a 2:10 just a few months ago.
I love it. John says he's fit. You think? You think
so
he's
ready
fit,
to
John?
roll. From a track coach's perspective, I just watched Asifa come through. She's a 4:07 miler. She ran a 2:25. That's phenomenal range to run a 4:07 1500, I should say.
Yeah.
Which is about a 4:24 mile to give people an idea. So she's made a really good transition up to the marathon.
Yeah. If you could run a marathon in 2:25, you're flying.
Right.
You know, that's just not the average runner's pace. And here's the West Park Hill as those runners make their way up and over really what is the only hill in this race.
Right.
And that's what Houston is known for. It's a flat course. It's pretty darn fast. It's generally has a little bit higher humidity than other cities.
Well, it has a little better weather.
Yeah, it has better
and it has the last few years. What's really interesting, other than this hill, most of the inclines in this course are downhill first and then uphill. You go under the railroad tracks on Montrose. You go down from that area up Montrose again. Then on Allen Parkway, it's all under and up. It's very kind of a backwards thing for most people. I've never found that as a big deal, but I've had a lot of people say they'd rather go up than down than down than up.
All right, well, we're going to catch Marimu Muhammad, the winner of the women's marathon, right after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
When I grow up, my goal is to be in the Olympics. It would just be a really big accomplishment for me. That's what I'm doing all this. My name is Kaylin, and I'm from Alvin, Texas. I'm 12 years old, and I'm in 7th grade. I'll be running my 3rd full marathon. Running's fun for me because it just brings so much enjoyment for me to actually be good at something. When I'm running, I feel so energetic, and it's just so much enjoyment. It does take a lot of dedication for me to do it. I train about 1 hour every day. Me and my sister run together almost every race. We just do everything together, but we're sisters. We've done a lot of races all over the world. Hawaii, Florida, Ohio, Texas. It's just really fun just to go everywhere because you get to see all these new things and new places and new people. My most proudest memories, it was the first year I did the Belize Purple Monkey Fun Run. We were inexperienced. We had no clue what we were doing. So I'm first and my sister's second. And there's a 19-year-old that's like 7 feet taller than us, and she's just standing there. It made me know that was pretty good. It snapped for my dad too to put me in more races and get more competitive. It's fun to do races with adults. It's just really fun for me. It makes me really proud that I'm actually beating people twice the age. When I hit the wall, it's not my legs that give out. Most people, when they hit the wall, they collapse. They cannot go anymore. The wall for me is mental. My body can do it. My legs can keep on going. They're not tired. So my mind is. I'll eat some candy on the way, like gummy bears or blueberries. I'll just try to get my mind off it. My goal for the Houston Marathon, I'm shooting for a 3:08. When people tell me I'm an inspiration, it really makes me inspired more. It inspires them, but it inspires me right back.
3:08, 12 years old.
She could not be any cuter.
No.
What do you always say? She broke the cute meter?
Yeah, she broke the cute meter.
We
had it, but she broke it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so let's take you down to David Nuno. He is with our women's marathon winner, Marimu Muhammad.
All right, and we're here with her interpreter. Congratulations. How did you feel out there?
It was good.
Now, you're 19 years old. You've had all the success in the world. You're one of the best runners out there. What do you attribute your success to?
19 ዓመትሽ ነው። በጣም ጥሩ ሯጭ ነሽ። ይሄንን ሁሉ በምን የተነሳ ነው እንደዚህ ጥሩ ሯጭ ሆንሽው? እንዴት ጥሩ ሯጭ ሆንሽ?
ረጅም ርቀት ወዳለሁ። ሩጫ ወዳለሁ።
ረጅም ጊዜ ሮጠሻል?
አይ ሩጫ በቃ የሩጫ ፍቅር ስራ ነው።
I have a love of running. I like to run. I like to run a lot. So since I have a love of running, I attribute that to my love for running.
I've got to ask you, ever run in these kind of conditions, this kind of cold, this kind of rain?
በዚህ ቀዝቃዛ እንደዚህ አይነት ቀዝቃዛ ዌዘር ላይ ሮጠሽ ታውቂያለሽ ወይ?
ሩጫ ሻንጋይ
Shanghai, China. She ran about about a month and a half ago. She was running in China in this kind of weather.
You're a better person than me. All right, let's allow Chevron to do the presentation. Congratulations.
Congratulations so much on your victory. We're just delighted you came to Houston to race. Thank you so much.
Houston ስለመጣሽ በጣም ደስ ብሎናል.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Tom. Back to you.
And we now crown you official Texan. Mahmoud Muhammad of Ethiopia, 19 years old. Congratulations to her.
I know, and so young. You're right. And you don't realize how young she is until you see her standing up there. And she's got that little bit of shyness to her that I think you see in someone who's a little bit younger, kind of newer in a way to the limelight.
And how about our 12-year-old runner that we just showed you before that? Does she have a shot at coming up in those ranks?
You would hope so. She's going to have a base behind her from all this running. Reading about her from New York Times covered her a few months ago. Now my understanding is she doesn't train that much. She races all the time.
Yeah.
But she doesn't train very much.
And
that's where she really...
It's better for young
right,
people,
it's a lot more fun versus getting hammered, and she just kind of races herself into shape. Obviously, running 3:08, if she can do that today, would be pretty good shape.
Wow.
We have a racer in our midst this morning. One of our fellow employees, Sonia Azad, just finished the half marathon, a little chilled, a little wet out there. You said you couldn't feel your right arm for a while.
I still can't. It's really numb. I don't know if that's a terrible thing or not.
It's probably not a good thing.
I'll probably get it checked out here in a few minutes.
How'd you feel?
Man, it was brutal. I mean, these people who are coming in on the marathon side already, I have no idea how they're doing it. It was pretty tough. I've done 12 half marathons. This is my 4th year here in Houston. This is a tough race today, but still fun.
How did you do? Did you do okay?
I came in on my clock at 1:54, so my goal has always been 1:45.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself 1:54 today.
I would say so.
My PR is 1:51, so I'm certainly not an elite runner, but 1:54 is okay with me today.
Now, you're a half runner. How about a whole? Do you ever think you want to do a whole marathon?
I've done it. It's not my thing.
Okay. You have.
I have. I did one in Phoenix, so it was perfect conditions. It was lovely, and I'm gonna stay with that.
He's like, it's a memory now.
Stick with that memory, and
let's keep it in my memory banks.
Yeah, but this was fun. There were a lot of puddles. A lot of people swerving to miss each other, miss those puddles. My feet are wet. A lot of people shedding a lot of those layers that you guys were talking about. But.
And so what happens now for you? I always wonder, you've run this race and you're exhausted, you're wet, you're cold. What do you do now?
A shower.
Okay, shower.
Take a nap this afternoon?
Possibly. Yeah, a nap and a shower. Everyone says you're supposed to take an ice bath. I feel like I'm in an ice bath right now.
Right.
So I'm just going to go straight to the hot shower.
Warm bath.
And starving? Like, I always wonder, are people starving out there?
You get hungry after the race?
Bananas are good,
All
right
that
after. But
stuff.
I think, for me personally, I get hungry about two hours from now, 2.5 hours. So then you just eat a huge meal, take a nice nap, and wake up and go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow with you guys.
We'll be there for you tomorrow. Did you see any of our other fellow employees along the way?
I saw Brett Birkenbein, one of our producers. Adela Uchida and I were texting right before.
I love it.
She started. Jessica Willie is out there. Christine Dobbin. My understanding is Ted Oberg is running. So I didn't see them.
Justin Sternberg, one of our producers.
Oh, he's probably already finished.
Yeah. He's probably driving home.
He's
pretty fast.
He is very fast.
It was a fun race.
And do you have advice for other people? I mean, I think people see you on TV every morning with us and during the day, and you come into their living room and you're she's an every person. She is. They're just like everybody else. Do you have advice for somebody who maybe sees it and says, I'd really like to do that?
I almost didn't run this race today. The rain was coming down this morning, and I was standing right here by the George R. Brown, and I thought, why would I do this? I don't need to do this today.
You could have backed out.
I almost did, and it was Brett's first time, and he said, Sonia, I've got to do this. I really want to do it. And I said, all right, let's go, buddy. Let's go. So, my advice, just do it. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's done.
And maybe get a partner. I mean, maybe that's the flip side of that.
That helped. I ran with my friend Ariana today, and we didn't talk. We each kind of just did our own thing, but it was nice to know that someone was right there, and we kept looking at each other, giving each other a thumbs up. Are you okay? Are you okay? Yes, yes. Keep going. Let's go. I stopped and talked with Elisa Rivas at mile 9, popped a couple of Advil, and stretched out a little bit.
Right.
But my joints are feeling it. I don't know if that, in the cold.
Yeah.
Yep. Get up and walk around.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to.
We're so glad you did. So proud. Show off your
Thank
medal.
you,
And
guys.
if your thing just
Oh, gosh.
I get so excited about the medals. I love a good prize, when you complete something.
And this one is going down in the record books.
Yeah,
This one's well deserved in my
She
books.
likes to tell people she's the only one that got a medal. The truth is, everybody who finished did.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Tom, you ruined it.
I like it.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to wear this tomorrow morning. How's that with you guys?
All right.
Do it. Wear it. Girl, you should. Wear that all day.
All right, go get some rest.
Congrats, girl.
Thank you, guys.
Very
be back.
impressive. Very impressive.
More in a minute.
My name is Addie Kephart, and I am 84 years old.
I met Addie about 11 years ago. Did you eat that?
Bruce is my buddy.
And at that time, she was 72, 73.
I have 2 children. I'm so glad you could come over. And I have 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. We've been married for 62 years. With my gray hair and everything, I might look old, but I am 19 years old inside. I walk every day. I am always on the go.
She walked my can off.
Well, what are you doing today?
And I couldn't keep up with her.
Can we keep going?
She keeps us all going. It's amazing.
I'm coming over to your side.
So she just keeps going and doesn't give up.
And we're off.
We're tired. We'll say, well, Addie would do that. Why can't we?
There we go.
She's twice my age today.
Happy birthday to you.
And amazes me.
Happy birthday, Addie. Thank you, Addie.
We made signs for her out on the road today, and one of them we made was, "You're my hero."
I'm no one's hero, but maybe I can inspire some people. I was 73 when I completed my first full marathon. I will just keep on going until my body says you can't do it anymore. And I'm not about ready to sit in a wheelchair and do some knitting. I hope I make it to 85. Okay.
84 years young, the oldest person to run in this. She's doing the half. We do have an 81-year-old woman running the full.
That is amazing to me. I mean, I'm just in awe, really, of the young people, the old people. I have to be honest. I'm in awe of anybody who's finishing this race today.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
But you think
Love
about the
Cute
future,
Addie.
it's like we say, I'll never do that when I'm 81. When we're 81, it may not be such a bad idea.
You're right.
Well, and like she said, for her, she doesn't want to sit around and do knitting. There's nothing wrong with sitting around and doing knitting, but for Addie, that's not going to work for her.
It's not her thing.
Not her thing. And what an inspiration. 2 grandkids.
Yeah.
Great grandkids.
Yeah.
Great grandkids. 2 of them.
19-year-old in her head.
I like it. That was so
Always
sweet.
remember that. All right, Samika Knight's out on the course, watching the runners. Good morning once again to you, Sammy.
Hey, Tom, we'll take a look. The runners here at Allen Parkway in Montrose are doing very well turning this curve. As for the supporters, they are trying to stay warm. Take a look at what we ran into just a few minutes ago. These young ladies, tell us your name.
I'm Jacqueline.
And? Jessica. And these young ladies have been jogging in place for quite some time. You mentioned that you have a cramp and you're not even running the marathon.
Yeah, we've been bouncing for quite a while, so we've both developed cramps from bouncing.
And how have you been coping with the cold?
Oh, we've been drinking. I'm just kidding.
Something interesting, another way that they thought they'd help their friend who's running the marathon cope. Would show us what you thought you'd bring.
We brought out carbs for our friends. Liquid power.
Liquid power, carbs. Okay, and thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. And we're going to bounce right over here to these ladies who, you guys are coping with the cold as well.
Yes, it's cold.
And you showed us a way that you guys are coping with the cold.
Yes. We certainly are. We've got our Bloody Marys. That's right.
And you brought them for a number of people out here in your group?
No, just for us.
Oh, just for you. And you showed us where.
We don't share. We just bring it for ourselves.
Okay, and you have a certain place that you're holding on to that.
Yes, it's down in my pocket, so I don't have to get my hand cold.
Okay. Right here. And this is the way that you guys are coping with the cold weather. But you're also rooting on someone.
Yes,
Tell us who you're rooting on.
Natalie Trisdale.
Oh, yeah, listen.
Sorry, it's our good friend from high school, so she's still Natalie Lavelle to us.
Okay, and she's doing well so far. Have you seen her?
Yes, we have seen her.
Great. Okay,
she's almost done.
She's almost done. She's doing great. A lot of supporters out here, and a lot of them finding very interesting ways to stay warm. Some of them just jumping in place. Others bringing out what they're calling carbs for themselves or for some of the runners out here. But a lot of support out here at Montrose and Allen Parkway. I'm going to show you. Just take a look here along the sidelines here. I mean, rain or shine, it's freezing out here now. This young man here, he's playing the guitar here on his umbrella, but a lot of support out here. It's cold, but they're out here and they're showing a lot of support. Back to you guys.
I don't think knocking back a few Bloody Marys affected them at all. They were getting naturally.
They were. I have a feeling those ladies and cute girls they're probably pretty fun anyway.
Yeah.
And look at Samika Knight. She's probably finding the most fun people out on the course today. I love it. I love to see it.
Too.
Well, let's take you out to Elisa Rivas. She is still at the turnaround this morning, where of course we veer off from the marathoners and the half marathoners. That's the big dividing point. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, and it's a very different picture here at this hour than it was 1 hour ago. Let me give you a live look behind me now. And this is the point when you see a lot of the walkers, the people that have slower times when they registered for the race, so they left a little bit later than that 7 o'clock start time. Pretty much all of the marathoners, even the last group, have gone through this area. We're seeing people whose strategy is the walk run. This is kind of where I would be in the race if I were doing the half marathon. And there's no shame in that. A lot of people do that when they run the marathon as well. They feel like it's a valid strategy to run 3 miles, walk a mile, run 3 miles, walk a mile. And that's what you see here. People with times that are perhaps not quite as fast, those that have more like the 12-minute mile rather than the 6-minute mile that some of the people we know who have already finished have. So right here, everybody's still looking good, but a much slower pace at this point in the morning. Back to you.
Right here.
On Twitter.
We're kind of blocked. That side where Casey is awful.
So we've been hearing from a lot of folks on Twitter and on Facebook about what they're seeing out on the course. And if you are on social media, we sure would love to hear from you. And you can choose the hashtag at the hashtag HOU Marathon. And this is one of them. Hats off to every single runner today. You make it look easy. Congrats on making it to the finish. And that's what Elisa was talking about. You know, if you need to walk a little bit to get through it, it is all about finishing. Hey, just finished my 3rd Houston half marathon in 1:30:34. Great course support and turnout as usual. Love the cheering. So see, it really does matter, all of the fans that are out there and supporting everyone. It was an honor to serve up water to all the participants in the Houston Marathon. Now trying to warm up. And speaking of which, there are thousands of volunteers. I mean, you mentioned the spectators, but there are volunteers out there that are doing everything from picking up the clothes to serving the water and all that good stuff. So
8,000 volunteers out on the course today and here at the finish line.
And it takes every single one of those people to make it happen.
Yep. And we're going to talk with the race director, Brant Koch, about this year's race coming up right after this short break. And welcome back, everyone. We have about 9 minutes left of our live coverage of the Houston Marathon, the Chevron Houston Marathon, and the Aramco Half Marathon. And what a day it has been. Weather-wise, not so good. Running-wise, not bad.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I'm really in shock that so many people did not. I expected to see a bunch of people just like ditch, you know,
I did
at
too.
the GRB, like, I'm not doing this today. And I don't think most people did that. I think if you came out, you were running.
You did it, and it's actually safer in these conditions. There was a time in 1997 the conditions were actually worse because it was sleeting.
Yes.
Oh,
it was sleeting. But no, they had medically they had the fewest problems they've had in years. I'd imagine the same is going to be true today.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
The heat's really the problem, not so much the cold.
Well, let's find out about the success of this great event. Brant Koch is the chairman of the board of directors and the race director. Congratulations again, another good run.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we pulled it off.
You did.
Were you a little nervous? A little nervous?
Honestly, no. Sorry.
That's all right.
You're looking for a story here. But,
no, I was worried. I mean, I knew we had thunderstorms, and so from that standpoint, that made me nervous. You know, I'm a safety-first girl, as I know you guys are as well. So from that standpoint, it was a little nerve-wracking, I think.
A little bit. You know, actually, early on, they were saying that they had some lightning strikes, but they were literally 100 miles away.
Yeah, although in our 8 o'clock hour, they're on the east side of town across the highway.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
They were here.
But I didn't know that. I was a little bit oblivious of that.
It.
So
Sometimes lack of knowledge is good.
It's true. That's why you have the people. That's why all the emergency management folks are here. They're here to take care of that for you.
Yes. Yeah. We have put together a tremendous team there. We did a tabletop exercise 3 weeks ago. We had a room full of people that were just committed to public safety in this event, and it was tremendous.
All right. Tough to top last year. Obviously, we had 4 records last year.
Yes.
Very tough to top.
Well, particularly given the conditions. I mean, it really was, as John was saying, it was a great day to run, but it was not necessarily a great day to run real fast. I mean, there's wind, there were slick streets. It's just not conducive to the very fastest of times. But we did still have some pretty good performances.
But the times were not bad given the performances at all. But we're used to talking to you about records. This is the first year since 2007 we haven't discussed a record with you after the race.
That's true.
But I'll tell you what, I think we have a record for the number of happy people out there, because I'll tell you, they are the conditions for the runners, for the everyday Joe and Jill, perfect.
Let's talk about next year, because we are going to have some changes in this race course. We've got the destruction of the Elysian Viaduct as they make room for light rail in the city. Do you know how the course is going to change, or is that still to be decided?
We've got some preliminary designs. We hope to have a final by, say, mid-spring.
Will we still be starting here, you think, outside the GRB?
Well, it'll definitely still be finishing here, and it will be starting somewhere in the same area.
Got it.
Somewhere in the same area. We're actually the block immediately north of Texas, between our 2 start lines, that is being turned into another high-rise condominium.
Oh.
And so we're going to lose those start lines, too.
Okay, so the course, for the most part, would stay the same. It's just you're going to have to make some diversions just north of downtown, where that construction is.
Could be a little more than diversions.
Oh, really? Okay.
But
look at the cagey answer.
As a municipal judge once said to me, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, okay, then don't tell him.
All right.
we need him.
The next couple months, we'll get a better picture.
Yes.
Yes. Well, congratulations.
We'll be making a press release in the spring.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations on another great race. Thanks to all the 8,000 volunteers, and thanks to Chevron and Ramco.
Volunteers, the sponsors, the participants, the spectators, everybody. We can't thank them enough. Cannot thank them enough. Okay. Tremendous job by everybody.
It really was. Greatest single-day sporting event in Houston.
You got it.
Thanks, Brant Koch, for you. I should say, for making it possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's grinning from ear to ear. I love it. I love to see that.
I'm always grinning from ear to ear. What can I say?
True.
I love this event.
Yeah, now the work starts for next year.
Yep.
Almost as soon as this one ends, right?
Last year I filed the permit for this year the day after last year.
Did you really?
Yep.
Okay.
You bet.
All right. Well, we're looking forward then to 2014. Thank you, Brant Koch. And we are checking on the race course once again as you see some of the spectators cheering people on. Believe in yourself. Boy, that is great motivation to those people who want to run, and they check out the runners today and say, or they watch them come over the West Park Hill and they say, you know what, I'd like to do that. That is great motivation. Believe in yourself, because that's what these people are doing.
Well, and the Run for a Reason this year, once again, you've got close to 60 charities that are benefiting, all from the money raised by people that are running, and special recognition for folks that raise $350 or more for their chosen charity. And it's a great way to raise awareness, maybe of groups that you didn't know about before, and just so wonderful. I mean, millions of dollars, has been raised so far for these groups.
Every year we talk about those people that come out and watch the race or watch our live coverage on TV, John, and we say, okay, you want to run next year's race. How do you prepare for it if you've never been a runner, if you've been a casual runner? Can you prepare starting today for next year?
Right. I think one of the smart things to do is get a coach or get some sort of training, like the Houston Marathon online training, that'll show you what not to do. Most people think they need to do a lot. They need to jump into a 10-mile run. They need to start with a loop at the park, then a week later do 2 loops at the park, then a week after that do 3 loops. It's too quick. Your body needs to slowly, gradually adapt to the training and building up the long runs over a long period of time. The sooner you start, the better. And if you start like tomorrow, you'll never have to really be uncomfortable if you do it gradually enough, because your body will adapt to the training that you've done. But follow a program, because generally people want to do too much.
Right.
They get overzealous about it. I can handle a 3-mile run.
And then they get hurt.
Yeah. And then they get hurt.
Yeah.
And then they go back to doing not running.
By the way, shout out to your wife. She's running the half marathon.
I'm hoping she's done by now.
I hope so. Yay.
And
okay.
Brant, sorry.
Brant says he has seen her. And do you ever want to run another marathon yourself?
I ran one in College Station a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
My excuse. That's I use this as my excuse not to run
There
this
you
marathon.
go.
It was a nice race, but it wasn't this event at all. And the conditions were, to me, were worse because they were 70 degrees, 90% humidity, and just awful.
Well, we love all of our tweets, everybody. As you can keep them going all day long. The hashtag is HOU Marathon. We've had some wonderful responses here. Look at this. Call me crazy, but I want to run a half marathon now. Well, Miss Emma Stone is. You can do it. As John said, just, take it nice and slow. And, John, do people need a coach, or can they just find, a program online or something like that to kind of follow?
The Houston Marathon has a great program online.
Oh, so just go to Houston Marathon?
There you go.
And they,
HoustonMarathon.com.
Well, how simple is that?
And they build that program for folks to gradually build up to the half marathon or the marathon. But what it'll mostly do is people look at that and go, oh, that's all I have to do, because they're thinking I've got to do a 20-mile run in a month. And
and you start off with your 2 or 3 miles.
Very
and stay
gradual.
with that for a while.
Walk running will be involved with it as well. That's like somebody mentioned that earlier. That's a nice way to train and to do the marathon for folks that aren't trying to run really fast.
Yeah.
If you got somebody running in the race today, family member, friend, watch for him tonight. The finish line, 10:35, our special show tonight. John Warren will be joining us once again at 10:35 tonight as we wrap up today's race. And there it is, the race recap special, 10:35. After that, the big Texans special at 11:05 after the game. It is going to be quite the day in Houston's sporting history. John Warren, track coach at men's track coach at Rice University. Thank you once again. Without you, we couldn't do it.
Thanks.
All right, and Casey Curry, Brant Koch, thanks to you for joining us both. Casey?
Pleasure.
See you in the morning.
I'll be there bright and early.
You going to run next year's race?
No, I will be right here with you.
Okay,
I wouldn't trade this moment for anything.
Of course not.
Are you kidding me?
For Casey Curry,
love you too much.
John Warren, Brant Koch, all of us involved in the race here, and all of those volunteers and everyone else who helps make this possible. And for all of our hard-working crew here at Channel 13, thank you for joining us. Have a great Sunday, everyone, and go Texans!